Hello, everybody, and welcome to Shared Screen's Game of the Year so far. I'm your host today, Alec Bobko, and joining me is a wide panel of people. We've got Bo,
Yo.
Chance,
What we doing?
Jordan,
You're
and Chris.
I'm alive. I'm here. I'm back.
Making his grand return, of course. Yes.
It's been like 2 months since I've been on anything. Oh my god, it feels like forever.
Yeah,
got a
how's
cameo
moving
here.
going, bro?
I'm out, man. I am currently in my in-laws' basement. Why this is all blurred behind me? This is not my house. And this is just kind of where I'm at for a bit, you know. My camera quality looks nice. I made the bump up to turbo finally. Or nitro, or whatever the fuck they call
Nice.
it on Discord.
Yep.
The thing,
Nice.
the money thing. And
did your
yeah,
Discord
I'm
daddy buy
chilling.
it for you, or did you get it yourself?
I bought it for me. I don't have a Discord daddy. Yeah,
Wow,
you can be if you want.
Mm-hmm. I'll give you Nitro Kitten.
Anyway,
I'm always looking. You know, keeping my options open.
yeah. We also like to keep our options open, and we're going to be talking about some of our games of the year so far. So we're going to be starting with a game that we played that wasn't from this year, and then we're going to be going through our top 3 games that we've played from this year. So we're going to start with Jordan.
Okay, well, I didn't get a chance to play too many games this year because I was finishing up school for like the first half of the year. But one game I did play this year that isn't from 2022, and I've talked about on content before, is Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I forgot how much I missed it until I'm having a little bit of lull, like a break right now before SpiderMan comes out for PC. So I'm actually playing through Mass Effect Andromeda right now, like years after the fact, less buggy. And I didn't realize how much I missed that universe. I still have some qualms with Andromeda so far, but I'm not that far into it, so I don't want to give an answer. But still, it's basically the same level of exploration and customization, and I'm very happy that I became a Mass Effect fan this year.
Fuck yeah, man.
Hell yeah, dude.
Don't let anybody, like, whatever they say about the story of Andromeda, the combat is phenomenal. Like, once you get going with the combat, just, like, take it for what, bro.
I kind of
digest.
assumed going in that the difference would be that when I played the original trilogy through Legendary Edition, that it was going to be like, I can tell I was playing a very good PS3 game. And with Andromeda, I'm kind of playing an average PS4 game. So some things do feel more comfortable and natural. There's that verticality to it. Now,
combat movement is definitely an improvement over like the original ones, just with the step up in power and that sort of thing. But oh boy, is the writing in that one off.
Yeah, well, it also seems like there's a lot of like side stuff to do that is just for you to grind to get materials.
Yeah. So I said that forgetting about the thruster pack and stuff. I was just talking about like the biotic and like tech abilities or whatever, like how you can like mess around with those, and like you can have like the best one of each as like your 3 powers that you have hotkeyed or whatever. I really enjoyed that because it just made you feel like a god at the end of the game.
Yeah, which is the vibe I'm going to get, especially when you get to switch your profiles, and that's a cool thing that they added in.
Yeah.
So I do think that's going to have it's definitely going to have its silver linings to it.
I played that and I couldn't get a hold of the patch, and so like half of the cutscenes they were just like T-boxing. Like I was in an area with not good internet, but like they would get off the ship and it was just like 3 people and fucking an alien, and they're just like floating down the ramp.
There was like a quarter of a second the other day where my character got up from the first time you speak with your sibling. That's in the no spoilers, but the first time you speak with your sibling, like got up and for like 1 frame would just T-posed and went back.
You gotta love it. Are you playing
real quick?
Are you playing male or female Raider?
I play a male Raider just because anytime there's character customization where you get to choose to that level, I'm always making it like a different version of me.
Okay, fair. Yep.
Yeah.
Respect.
It's either me or it's somebody from Bloodborne.
Nice.
I just make them.
Yeah, no, definitely enjoying that. I'd say that right now my like not 2022 game of the year would just be Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
Nice. That was a good franchise. Oh yeah. So we're gonna go ahead to Bo. What's your game of the year that wasn't from 2022?
So, Vampire Survivors.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Vampire Survivors has really. I was not expecting to enjoy it as much as I did. I thought that I would get like 2 hours out of it and be like, "Oh, that's a fun little free thing on Xbox Game Pass PC." But
Hmm.
for those that don't know, it's a roguelite that it's very simple. You only have movement, and you like have auto attacks, and then you just level up, get more items. Um, it gets so chaotic at some points, but like it is one of like the flow state that it gets you in is so powerful, and it's so like the music is great, but I'll put on a podcast in the background or some video in another window and just play for 30 minutes, and it is the most zen 30 minutes ever, and I'm just annihilating skeletons and other horrible low polygon enemies. But like I really highly recommend it if you like roguelikes, if you like just something to turn your brain off for 30 minutes. Not to say that you can't like try hard with it, but it's so, and it came out at the very, very tail end of last year. So it like,
Gotcha.
it's probably going to get considered in, or not considered, but it could like fit into the this year conversation, but
Mhm.
it's technically last year. So just wanted to put it there.
Yeah, I've tried to play that game off of the Game Pass PC app, but it was always I'd click play and it would just like the splash screen would come up and then nothing would happen. So
Oh, I mean, it's like $3
yeah,
on Steam or something.
that's
It's,
a yeah. I just haven't pulled the trigger on it yet, but I want to. I've heard really good things, and kind of from what you were saying, it kind of reminds me of like what you were said about like Loop Hero last year.
it's a very similar feeling. Like it's definitely more involved with
Yeah.
than Loop Hero with the moment to moment, but I think Loop Hero has more, or at least from what I can tell right now, like it does a good job of having you play for the short term goal, and then you achieve that short term goal, and it's like, okay, now there's the next goal that you actually want to achieve. It's not just like kicking the goalpost further for the sake of
Hmm.
longevity. Like I actually want to unlock all of this stuff, and it's, I don't know. Like it's hard to describe, and it's really hard to show people gameplay and have them understand. Because I watched gameplay and was like, this looks like a lot. Like it doesn't look appealing to me at
Hmm.
all. But once you get your hands on it, like if you have Game Pass PC, it takes like 30 seconds to download. Just try it out. You'll know within 10 minutes
Or it's
if it works.
$3.
Because yeah, or it's $3. Like play for 20 minutes and return it. But it's worth it to me.
Sounds good. All right, Chris, it's your
So
non 2022 game.
So the non-2022 game that I played this year, which really isn't a lot, I've played a lot of Halo Infinite, but that was my Cody last year, so I'm not gonna repeat that. Instead, I haven't revisited the base game of this yet, but it comes out on PC soon, so I will be. But I actually just went and finished all of the DLC in Spider-Man 2018.
Ooh,
Yeah, you did.
Um,
that's
this was
good
my first
DLC.
time playing through it. I didn't buy it because by the time it had all come out, like they were already being like, "Hey, we're gonna have it, Spider-Man Remastered is coming out on PS5, right?" And so I was like, "Cool, once I have a PS5, I'll play through all of that." And I have a PS5, and I did, and it was really great. Um, it's just kind of it's pretty story light, and having played and finished Miles Morales, I was actually surprised at how little kind of carries over into Miles Morales as well. It's just kind of, you like Spider-Man, you like doing things in Spider-Man. Here's more of things to do in Spider-Man, and I'm like, cool,
Yep.
thank you. Please may I have another. It's more bases
Except for
and
the
screwball
screwball
challenges,
missions.
and yeah,
Ugh.
fuck the
Fuck the
screwball
screwball
challenges, dude.
challenges.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't stand them. Those were horrible. But I did enjoy it all the same. I like all of the additional suits that it comes with too. That's really cool. And yeah, I'm excited for it to hit PC so I can run through the base game one more time as well before Spider-Man 2 comes out next year.
I'm so fucking excited for
Yeah,
that.
really fun game. It's
And you get to play
still
on
hard
Steam
for
Deck.
me to, yeah, then that's what I'm gonna try and do as well. Hopefully it runs well on Steam Deck. Um, but yeah, I'm excited about it, man. That's probably my favorite game from last generation. Just it's maybe even above God of War, which I do think is a perfect video game. Like it's just, I like Spider-Man, dude. I've always loved Insomniac's interpretation of the character. It's my favorite iteration of Peter Parker to ever exist. And it's just it's it's a game that, speaking of, to go back to the Zen thing, right? Like I've done everything you can do in that game, 100%. There's literally nothing else for me to do in that video game. And I've still opened it a couple more times since I did that, just to swing around in New York City for a bit, just to be Spider-Man and run around. And they're robbing a store over there. Let me go beat those guys up
Yep.
real fast. And then I'm back to swinging around. Like, there's a real zen thing there. Sometimes
Yeah.
I'll just turn on a podcast and vibe, dude. It doesn't even matter. It's
Yeah.
fun. The
Dude,
movement in that
movement,
game is like
yeah.
nothing else. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They nailed it. It's perfect.
And like I know we've talked about this before, just that little detail of like Peter like grunting or being more like emphasized, I guess, when he's like swinging rather than just when you're standing still.
How they
that
record
still
how he
blows my
recorded like
mind.
almost every line in the game twice, one for while he's
Yeah.
swinging or fighting, and one when he's like standing or walking. Incredible. That's not something you had to do, but he did
Yeah.
it, you
Mhm.
know. And then not technically the same thing. I also just want to talk about great movement. I mean, Miles Morales, they added the tricks and everything in there too, and he's got all the
Electricity.
Venom
Yeah.
abilities as well. Yeah, and so I'm excited to potentially switch back and forth between the two of them in Spider-Man 2 or whatever that's going to look like. But great game. Highly recommend revisiting it if you haven't, especially when it comes out in what, like 2 weeks on PC?
I
Something
think
like
it's
that.
the
August
14th?
12th.
12th.
Is it 12th or 14th?
Yeah, about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, highly recommend it. Easily one of the best games of the generation. My absolute favorite superhero game ever made. I recently went back and played
Mhm.
Arkham City was like the first like game that I downloaded on my Steam Deck just because it was like, this runs really well on deck, and I went, sweet, I love that game, and I downloaded it. It was really cool to play
Mhm.
like a previously AAA game on a handheld. But then I was running around in Arkham for a minute, and I was like, wow, Spider-Man really took this and made everything better, huh?
Yeah.
Spider-Man really did this just better.
It's that unfair advantage, just I guess, in the lore of Spider-Man, that because he can web swing, you get that ability to put in really, really good locomotion. And like,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I almost forget the fact that fast traveling is an option in this game.
Yeah.
But I know that
never
like with
do because
Arkham games,
it's so fun to swing around this city that I never
Yeah.
fast travel.
and it never takes you too long to get, like, you could be at the tail end of Manhattan and need to be all the way at the top. It really does not take you that
Like 2
long
minutes.
to get there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing crazy, and I mean, usually I'll kind of like swing around so I can see like particular stuff, you know. Too, I'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, I'll make sure to hit Avengers Tower on my way through, you know, or
Yeah, and you
something
Yeah.
like that.
you
just so I
take the
can see it.
photographs, you grab the backpacks on your way there.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, what an absolute joy of a game.
Yep.
How fast did you get all the backpacks? Because that's like the first thing I do every
That-
time.
yeah,
same.
immediately.
Same.
Instantly. I didn't wait at all.
Yeah. I'm really wondering. So, like, I played through the game twice. Obviously, I played through it the first time, and then the second time I played through, and I 100% it. It's the only game I've ever purposely platinumed, just because I wanted to do everything there is in that game.
The one platinum trophy I have.
Yeah, I have 3 because the Telltale Batman games just give you them for completing a level or completing a run through. I mean,
Yep.
but
First level platinum.
you know, when I did New Game Plus, it was fun that like I could do the crimes when I was bored, or just like Chris was saying, listen to a podcast and do some crimes, but really just run through the story.
Stop some crimes.
Stop some crimes. Yeah.
Not do
But-
some crimes. Stop some crimes.
Start some
I'm not
crime.
doing the crime.
Turn
I'm
on
doing
a podcast and commit some crimes.
I mean, you never know with the black suit we're in Spider-Man 2. You never know.
Today's episode's brought to you by Squarespace. No, but like
Put
it's
your
gonna
hands
be
up.
it's gonna be interesting, I think, going back to the game as a fully new game, and I'm gonna have to do all that stuff again because I want every suit, even the suits I don't wear. I want just in case I do want to wear them at some point.
Yeah.
Well, you get the
I
perks
don't
with
know
the
that I'm
suit,
gonna-
like-
you
That's
got
true.
it. There's gameplay like bonuses for having the
Elements,
different
yeah.
suits.
Yeah,
but,
so-
I don't know that I'm gonna like 100% it when it hits PC again, but I will do like all of the main content. I don't know that I could sit down and
Platinum it again.
stop crimes for another like 3 hours. It takes a minute to 100% all the
Yep.
crimes.
Yeah.
I feel like
Especially
that's
when
everybody's
there's-
last trophy.
There is Sable, there's the prison riots, there's the just generic crimes, there's the demons, there's the Kingpin ones. Like,
There's a lot to do in that game.
yeah.
I'll probably get all the backpacks and all the suits, and that'll be enough for me.
All right.
Good game. Can't wait.
Chance.
All
you
right,
go,
so my honorable mention is Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the game when it
Nice.
came out. Yeah, it's so fucking good. Like going back to it, I do have my qualms with it or whatever, but I always regretted not platinuming it just because I enjoyed being Cal Kestis or whatever. So going back through and like certain things that I did that I remember not liking, I really hated this playthrough, but the things that I really liked, I absolutely loved too. So it kind of like just heightened everything. You know, the jump puzzles are still bullshit, but EA like to come out of the gate and have this like really tight combat, like it's as tight as I feel like they could have gotten it on their first go through because they've never made a game like this, and
It's
it
as
makes me
tight as
so
anyone that's not FromSoft is gonna get, I think.
it is exactly, and like I didn't mean it as like a negative. It just like they did as good as I feel like they can, and I cannot wait to see what they do with number two. Like I feel like we've talked about Fallen Order a lot here at Shared Screens, so I don't want to like lament people who have already talked about it. Chris can talk about this game better than I ever could, but I just fucking love that game, and it makes me so excited for the second one.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go install it on Steam Deck. No more fucking around.
Oh, and I platinumed it. Like the one of the like smoothest,
Oh,
funnest platinums I've
nice.
had for a minute. Yeah.
See, I was
I don't
thinking
even
about
I don't even have the platinum in it.
Dude, I don't know how you don't. I thought you
Here's
did. And when
here's
you
what
just
it
said
is.
that,
I'm close. I have like one trophy left, and it's what tripped me up was that there's like one or two things that BD1 still needs to scan that I missed like the first time
oh my,
I went through, and
yeah. And it's so bad to backtrack in that
one of
game.
them is on the fucking what's the name of the Darth Maul planet?
Dathomir,
Dathomir.
which is a
Dathomir,
pain.
my brain got stuck on Dagobah. Yeah, there's like two things on Dathomir that I need to scan that I can't bring myself
Yeah.
to go do it.
So I was gonna
Well,
say,
you've
don't
played that
blame
game
Getting
me.
way
around
more than me, so
Dathomir
you
is
already you
horrible.
have the
like
platinum in my head.
semi recently, I was like, I need something to do while I'm listening to a podcast. Let me just like go to Jedi Fallen Order and like go through a level and try to get the stuff I missed, like the secrets and I scanned and stuff because I want more. I don't like the ponchos, but I want more lightsaber customization. So I was going after for that stuff, and I forgot there's no fast travel back to the ship.
Yeah.
And I'm like stuck in the
Mhm.
middle of Dathomir. Like, I don't want to fucking go through this again. This
It
planet's rough.
it needs it needs just like a one shot back. You know what I mean? Like, don't let me travel
Yep.
back to where I'm at. Just let me get back to the ship. Like,
Yeah,
I
100.
that's really really
There
what
was like
next
2
game
or
needs.
3 times I got glitched into a wall and I was like looking for the option and I was like, I don't know how the fuck to get out of. Luckily, roll, jump, like just continually smash those buttons, you'll get out of anything.
Yep.
Demo disc taught me that.
Yeah, no kidding. It's a shame. It's a shame that Survivor's not coming out this year, but I'm really excited about it either way.
I'm glad that they're taking the time that they need because, like, if they would have just had, and I have a feeling that it was EA trying to push the game out, but I feel like if it was Respawn, right, that did that game.
Yeah. Yep.
I feel like if Respawn had 6 more months, the game would have, like, they would have fixed everything I have an issue with. And so, you know, seeing CD Projekt Red and how they just pushed the game out before it was ready, like, it really accentuated all of these past games that, like, we really didn't have that high visibility on.
I think also, like, you gotta think about just like the Star Wars marketing machine though too, to where like December is Star Wars time. Like, the game came out like late November, early December. I think that was right around the time Rise of Skywalker was coming out, if I remember correctly.
And like Mando season 1, like it was very heavy
Season
Star
1,
Wars.
like Disney Plus, yeah, and so they're like, you got to hit this, like most likely. And I think they did what they could. Is also like, you know, sure it's Respawn, but it's kind of this unproven team who are doing things. And so they're like, let's see if you can do this, and then it can go from there. And I think now that, you know, that game did really really well, I think Apex brings in like 80% of EA's income at this point.
Yep.
I think they're just kind of letting Respawn do whatever they want now.
Hell yeah. Well, I have full faith in the team, like with what they did with Fallen Order, but I digest. Alec, what is your honorable mention?
So I have a technicality one, so I'm just gonna get this one out of the way real quick. I've talked about it before, but I played the Legacy of Thieves collection for Uncharted. So I got Uncharted 4 and
me too.
Lost Legacy. I talked about it on a backlog breakdown previously, so you can go and watch that. But the one I'm going to be talking about is, oh my gosh, my brain literally just had a brain fart on it. One Step from Eden. It is a roguelike game where basically, if you know the Mega Man Battle Network mechanics, it is extremely similar to this game. And basically, it's like you get spells instead of your like chips or your cards, and basically you run through these levels, and you basically all map based where you can see like what you're gonna go to, whether it's a fight, a
Like Star
shop.
Fox.
Yeah, basically. But it tells you like, if it's going to be a battle, if it's going to be like a hostage situation, if there's a shop, a boss, a mini boss, whatever.
Oh, like Hades.
And
That's what I'm trying to think of. Yeah. So where it's like you progress
Yeah.
and then it'll be one of these things. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's more if you've played like Slay the Spire, because before you
Yep.
progress, like it shows you what the branches are.
What
Like
path
in
you're
Hades,
going
you don't
to,
see
yeah.
Sure.
what the options are until you get to
That's
the room.
valid.
But in this,
That's true.
like you can see
Or Inscription.
10 encounters
if you haven't
down.
played
I want to
that.
get the
Yeah.
Inscription. Yeah. But please continue. I'm sorry.
But yeah, it's just you start off with one character, which she is the most, or Saffron, she's the most like Mega Man, where you can just, instead of, you don't get to
She's got a
charge
Mega
your
Buster.
like, yeah, but instead of charging it though, it's just rapid fire the entire time. So you can just, spam that the entire time while you're also casting your spells. And it's just really cool because like, it's just like all roguelikes, you keep getting better and better the more times you play. And it's just a real good roguelike. It's on Game Pass, so it's a very small download, and I'd highly recommend. The soundtrack slaps. It is
Killer.
an amazing soundtrack. I immediately downloaded all that to my playlist because it is just amazing. So I highly suggest checking it out if you're into roguelikes.
Killer.
Roguelites. Or if
Oh,
you if you're just waiting for the Mega Man Battle Network collection, just go and play it,
Agreed.
and it's very good gameplay.
Yeah.
Cannot wait.
Alec actually recommended that to me a couple months back, and I spent some time playing it. It's a jam. It's great art style. It's real simple, easy to understand. It's a difficult game.
I was about to say it's very hard.
It's hard, but it's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I didn't spend long enough to try any of the other characters, but I did like the
Other characters are very
that one.
fun.
Yeah.
But I like playing as like the first one you unlock just because it's the most like Mega Man. But the other characters are really cool. Like one's literally like they have a pistol or like a revolver, and it does more damage, but you don't get to spam it as much as like the Mega Buster. Basically, one person gets like ice spikes. The other person gets to throw down turrets. Like basically the bosses that you play as end up becoming the characters you can play as later. So
yeah,
Oh,
I
that's
was about to say I discovered way into like 5-6 hours into the game. I was like, why the fuck aren't I unlocking anybody? Like, what do I have to do? And then I discovered every time you fight a boss, you get the option to spare
kill him or spare him.
or kill him. I killed them every time. I didn't know you
Oh, no,
unlocked
I spare 'em.
the characters by sparing them.
Because but also if you spare them, they help you later levels. So like
I
they
didn't know
heal you
that.
in
I
boss
killed them every
battles.
time.
We
Chris is
know
fucking
how
ruthless.
Chris played fucking Mass Effect, don't we? Renegade all day over here.
Oh yeah, 100%. If you give me a BioWare game where I gotta be evil, I'm gonna fucking do it, bro.
Running
Knights of the
bitches
Republic,
through
Mass
day in,
Effect,
day out.
absolutely, dude. I'm a horrible person in video games. Are you kidding me?
Love it.
I'm playing. I started playing Red Dead 2, man. I'm like 2 hours into it. I've already got a horrible reputation. Motherfucker looks at me wrong. You getting a 6-shooter down your throat.
Oh, that game's so fun. I need to go
So
back
good,
and play
dude.
that game again.
So good.
All right, Jordan, what's your number 3 game of the year so far?
My number 3 game of the year so far is Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Ooh.
Now, this was a very early game this year. If you forgot that it came out this year, it came out at the very end of January. And I feel like it just in the other stuff that came out in February and whatnot, like Arceus people were still aware that people were playing it and that it was good, but like a lot of the smaller stuff kind of died down. I did beat the game. I took my time with it. I'm slowly chipping at the post-game stuff, but I'm a little bit Pokemon'd out at the moment. But I'm sure I'll go back at one point.
New one's coming out.
Yeah,
Soon.
that's the other thing. It's like, it's going to be very exciting to see how much of Arceus's changed mechanics and open world style and whatnot is going to transfer into not just Scarlet and Violet, but mainline Pokemon games from this point forward. So it does sound like it's going to be a little bit more open world in the sense of the walking, but I could also see the Legends games becoming their own spin-off series that stays a little bit more survivally and stuff like that. I would really like it. I just don't want a lot of the mechanics to make it into the main line. Like the mechanics that are very much for lore reasons because you're in the past and it's a more of a survival game. Those are not mechanics I'd want to see transferred over. Things like
No.
having a craft, Pokemon,
Well,
attacking
well,
you.
I mean, I would like to have like your regular Pokemon games and the Legends ones kind of like be like their own
Find like a middle,
separate,
Like
separate
I would
things.
love the
Mhm.
Legends, open worldness and sense of seeing Pokemon out in the wild like that. But I don't necessarily want to have to sneak up on them to catch them. I would just be okay getting into a regular battle and
Yeah.
attacking, throwing the
Yep.
Pokeball when they're lower. Also, obviously, want to see a lot of the battle mechanics and moves that they took out of Legends Arceus put back. And I don't think that's going to be a permanent change by any means. But walking around during battles is cool, and
Mhm.
those high quality battle animations I'd love to see again. I really feel like Game Freak needs to make a mainline game that is as good as Legends Arceus. They need to take a year off and just focus on making small changes in the animations and the interactivity of the world. And I would rather wait a few years to get the traditional 8 gym Pokemon game with those mechanics than just get, oh, well, the Legends games are really good, but then we have the annualized stuff where every move is just you kind of jumping forward.
Yep.
So, as a pretty hardcore Pokemon fan, do you appreciate what they did with Arceus and it gives you
Oh,
hope for the future game?
100%.
Okay.
It gives me hope, but it's one of the things where I don't want the Pokemon games to take the wrong lessons from Arceus.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think that there's a very big possibility that they could have. But I get just from what we've seen of Scarlet and Violet right now, I don't get the vibe that they did. And even within Arceus, I would love in the next Legends game, maybe let's make it a little bit more even split as to which Pokemon are cool around you and which Pokemon are trying to fight on site.
Yeah, because it's every single fucking Pokemon.
Basically, it's any Pokemon that's not like a little bitch baby is gonna attack.
Yeah, they just want to clap your cheeks immediately. I quit halfway through because I was just sick of not being able to walk around without getting messed with.
That was a little bit too much. I also do really like getting to see kind of the region in the past. This one, so I think the only real negative I'd give to Legends Arceus, the story was a little meaty in the sense I don't even fully remembered what the gist of the story was, and the full actual official ending is only if you 100% the game. And it's one of those where I'd rather I'm the person I want my story to be the story. Post-game content is cool, especially in Pokemon games. They've always been good about post-game content, but don't hide there's a character that is basically the end game villain, but you don't realize that until after you beat the main story and credits roll and you do all the end game stuff and you have to capture every Pokemon.
Oh, jeez.
Fuck that.
You have to capture every Pokemon a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Because you have to fill out the Pokedex, right?
Yeah, fill out the deck.
Oh, I thought you just had to get them in. You have to actually get the official 10 level.
It was my understanding that you had to complete their entries, but I could be wrong about that.
Okay. At the very least, you have to catch all of them. At the worst, you have to.
Which is also, while we're talking about mechanics that I hope don't go make it into the mainline Pokemon games, I could do without the catching Pokemon multiple times thing.
Which
that
makes
I want
sense.
to catch it once and be done.
Because
it made good lore for this one.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I hope that stays in Legends, I guess, is all
For
I'm
sure.
saying. To keep that out of the mainline stuff.
All right. Anything
As he
else?
takes a sip out of his Pokemon mug.
I'm not biased at all.
It is a good game. That was on my list of honorable mentions.
Mhm.
I as another longtime hardcore Pokemon fan, it was cool to have. It's definitely not perfect. It's rough around the edges in a way that all Pokemon games are these days. It feels like,
Especially graphically.
it's also ugly as shit. Yeah, man, it does. It's really ugly.
It's you see the
but
flamethrower animation and you're like, wow, that is really good fire. And then you turn to the side and you see the water with the mountain on it, and you're like, this is
Oh
a
my
GameCube
God, dude.
game.
I ran across that
and
organically.
as you're doing it, all the background, you see how my background looks. That's just all of the trees in the background at the same
it's
time,
all popping.
All
popping
the
in at
poppin',
once.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was cool to finally have a Pokemon game that's at least doing something different.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
not. It didn't feel like it was a Game Boy game on a console for once.
Yeah.
I say for once. There's only been a couple of Switch games, but it finally felt like it, at least in some ways, a step forward for
Yeah.
Pokemon.
And again, I really want to see the series continue because I think there's a lot of easy choices that they could make with
Johto,
this
come on.
series. Yeah.
Nice.
Honestly, it's got the next one has to be Legends Johto and give us the story of the 3 dogs. If I confirm
The
that
burn
fan theory of
tower,
them
come
being
on.
the
Please,
make it the
please.
burn
It's gotta
tower.
be. It's gotta be Burnt Tower. They have Ho-Oh in it and Lugia.
No, but
Please.
specifically also confirm the theory that the dogs were originally
Were
the
EVs.
evolutions and they
Yep.
perished, and that's why they're fire,
Yes.
water, and electric. Like,
Yes,
I
please.
feel like that would be great.
It's gotta be, man. Please. I'm
Plus,
begging
Johto's
you.
just best region, so.
Johto's the best
Yeah.
in every sense of the word. Pokemon Johto.
All right,
All right.
Bo, what's your number 3?
I just 2 very quick. I thought we were doing honorable mentions.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to
No problem.
delve on these. Only reason they're not officially on the list is because I haven't finished them. But As Dusk Falls and Neon White,
Yep.
having a good time.
Same
That's
with
all
mine.
I'll say right now. We'll
Yep.
see what happens. Oh, and also Multiverses, but it's only been like 48 hours for me. But I'm addicted to this game. I'm going to play as soon as we finish here.
I
But
think
my
my
actual-
about both of those games. Sorry.
Oh my god.
We'll get into it. Don't worry.
My actual number 3 is Project Triangle Strategy.
Oh,
Ooh,
So-
okay.
It's a long game. I've not finished it, but I've spent enough time with it to know, like, okay, you're definitely like top 5
On your
at the
list,
very
yep.
least for
Yeah.
me. So I just needed to get it in there. It's an RPG RPG. There are
HT2D.
so like the art style is incredible. The story so far has been like people have compared it to Game of Thrones, and that's kind of what got me interested.
Someone fucked their sister in this game?
No. It's just
actually.
it's a lot of political intrigue, and it's like I'm very. It's like, for example, like in the early story, like or my path or whatever, like my partner is a part of an ethnic minority, and then we go like because of economic trade deals or whatever, I have to go to a country where they don't like her ethnic minority, and it's a whole thing. And I'm trying to I think I'm trying to get salt from them or something, or I don't remember exactly, but like I'm trying to get something from them while they're all just like staring at my wife, and I'm just like, hey, so please do, so yeah,
My wife.
my wife. But it's really fun. Like I was playing it while I was traveling a lot, so I would kind of treat it like a bedtime story. Like I'm in a hotel, I'm working for way too long, and then I get to my room and just sit there and I'm reading. Like it doesn't sound fun, but you're like, it's all very well voice act or JRPG voice acting. It's like
Sure.
good, but if you're going to be annoyed in the first 10 minutes, just turn the voices off.
Right.
It's a good time. I think the gameplay is really, really good, but the thing that surprised me most was the story. So I would highly recommend it to anyone that's looking for a bedtime story type video game. And it gets serious. The gameplay is deep, but it's also not too deep to where I'm paralyzed by my choices. And the choices that you do make in the game, you feel the impacts of pretty quickly. So for what they're going for, I think it accomplishes that tenfold. It's fantastic. Highly recommend.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just need to play that demo because, like, I've seen really good things like the HD 2D graphic style. I don't know if there's been a better graphic style that's come out in gaming in the last few years.
It'll make you play on the TV. I have used my Switch as a handheld for the most part, and I've like started bringing my dock with me when I travel, just so I can like
Mhm.
unplug the hotel TV and do all that fun
Nice.
stuff.
Heck yeah.
That's
Yeah.
always such a fun adventure.
Mhm.
How bad did they fuck up this TV?
Yeah, like, oh, you're gonna put like a plastic thing on the main wires. You forgot this other side HDMI cable in this TV for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I don't know how to
Mm.
switch the source on the TV. Okay, like I'll just wrap my finger around the back and boop, there we go. And now I'm playing Nintendo.
Just a dumb thing they do just to try and keep people from messing with them.
See,
But yeah,
I went to
having
a
fun in our
hotel
room.
once where there was like a permanent HDMI cable in the TV, but it was empty on the other end. So they were like, this is the HDMI cable, or if you want to plug in anything, this is like the one.
That's awesome.
They need to be like commended
needs
for
to be
that. 'Cause that's some
standard.
like A1 steak sauce. That's some
yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
G shit.
There could have been rats in the room, and I would have been like, they care here.
Yeah. They're giving these rats a home.
All right, Chris, you're number 3. Tell us.
My number 3 is Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga.
Yeah.
Y'all knew it was going to be on the list somewhere. Of course I've always, I'm a little bit of a Star Wars fan. People have said that about me
Just a
before. I tend to enjoy things with lightsabers in them. So the idea that Lego of all the game series came out and said, hey, we're going to be making a huge open world game with every character that you can possibly think of from every single Star Wars movie. And I went, bullshit. There's no way that this is that good. It's so, because it's very ambitious. They completely changed the combat. They completely changed the traversal. It's not linear. It's this huge open world thing. And literally every fucking planet is explorable. You can go anywhere, everywhere with any
Almost
character
any
that you
ship
want.
too.
And they made it so fun. It's unbelievable. It's the best game Lego's ever made.
Yeah.
Yes, Jordan.
Does that at any point ever feel too much? Because like it's been a minute since I played a Lego games, but the couple times I've dabbled in like their more modern games, I've gotten the vibe that okay, there's a lot to do, which is great from the perspective of like Lego being a kids game. Parents don't want to spend $60 every week to get their kids a new game, so here's one that they can really milk. And I remember doing that with my Lego games as a kid. But it also felt as though they've lost a little bit of the charm when they added in like voice acting and animation, and like water now looks like real water. It's not the blue Lego pieces.
So I'm completely with you on that.
Yeah.
And while this game does have the voice acting and a lot of like real world environments in it, basically like if it's natural, it's usually like actually natural, and then anything that's built or handmade is what's Lego. And the thing, so buildings and ships and all of that stuff are Legos, and then it's real trees and water and rocks.
Gotcha.
But it's gorgeous. They made it look so good. It's so impressive how good it looks that I didn't care. You'd think that being a
Agreed.
Lego in a natural environment would be weird, but they made it work out because there's still enough Lego stuff around that like.
Of
It's like
course,
someone
all
setting up a
Lego.
really nice diorama
Yes,
outside. Like they
actually,
set
yeah,
it in like a natural environment, and then they
I
just
get what you mean.
that's a fantastic way to put it. And then
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of the voice acting in Lego games either, but they do have a mumble mode, but the game is made. It that just turns off the voices. It doesn't actually like change anything.
It doesn't
about
add
it.
like their pantomiming, because like again, I think one of the
So
funniest
what they
moments.
did to get around that, because yeah, I do think that the pantomiming is kind of what made those Lego games funny, right?
Yeah,
So
like
what
Vader
they've done
with the
though
Polaroid is my
is
favorite example.
that a lot of it is just kind of like the script of the movies. Or at least it's close to
Yeah.
it. It's all of these are of course like real like Cliff's Notes versions of all the movies, right? I
Yep.
mean, you can play each one in about an hour and a half or so, depending on how much you explore and just break things because it's a Lego game.
Break everything.
But
True Jedi, bitch.
anyone that has anyone that's a character that's represented within the Clone Wars series is voiced by their Clone Wars voice actors who are all S tier, grade A. Love that. And there's not a ton of funny dialogue, at least not within the cutscenes. There's a lot of like character interactions. Like if you decide to play with like Anakin and Darth Vader, Anakin will see Vader and is like little kid Anakin will be like, "Whoa, that's a really cool suit," and stuff like that.
Also,
Or
the
Obi-Wan will.
intros are great though.
Intros
They
are
got some fun
great,
moments.
and like Obi-Wan will tell Anakin, he's like, okay, Anakin, like remember like what is it that I told you? And he goes, yes, Master. Beard care is all about consistency and product. And he's like, no, be mindful of the Force. Like that sort of thing. I'm not talking about that at all. And so what they've done though is that in the cutscenes themselves, it's like while it is still the like mostly like lines from the movies or like cut down versions of it, all of the stuff that's still happening within the frame is hilarious. And like some of the funniest stuff. So I think the best example I can think of is like take A New Hope, right? And the scene where Luke is in Obi-Wan's house and he gets the lightsaber, he's swinging around, he cuts off 3PO's head on accident while Ben is telling this is a refined weapon for a more civilized age, and he accidentally like cuts 3PO in half with it. And then he turns off the lightsaber and he looks at Ben and he goes, so how exactly did my father die? And Obi-Wan goes, ooh.
Yeah.
Like it's stuff like that. It's
That's funny.
brilliant. I can't.
yeah.
The game made me laugh out loud so many times.
Yep.
Or even like said, and there's still a couple of like voice acted jokes, like like the "Be With Me" scene with Rey in the Rise of Skywalker, right? And so you start hearing all of the voices of the Jedi. So you get Obi-Wan Kenobi who says, "These are your final steps, Rey. Rise up and take them." And Luke Skywalker is like, it's like all the legacy of the Jedi now lives within you. And then and then you hear Anakin go, "I don't like sand."
A lot of sand jokes in this game. A lot of sand jokes.
That's good.
They know what we like.
I was crying laughing. I was so not because it's so serious until I don't like
Mhm.
sand. That's keeps going. It's so good. Yeah, the game's downright hilarious. I can't recommend it enough. If you're into the Lego games, or if you even just kind of want like a fun like Star Wars romp,
Yep.
it's perfect. It's the most expansive Star Wars video game experience is this Lego game. It's got everything you want from all of the movies present there in that game, and I love that for it.
I will say one negative thing. I did not like that they didn't give the second trench run in Return of the Jedi.
That's an odd choice. Yeah.
I thought that was an odd choice.
You do not fly through the inside of the second Death Star, and that's really strange.
That's like my biggest qualm, but yeah.
But that's it. Yeah. Good game. Highly recommend.
Yeah. I think the PC version is fixed now, because when I played it, that's one of the reasons I'm not quite as high on this game as some of the other guys were, is just because I played on PC and there was a lot of bugs.
I heard it had some PC problems. Yeah, buddy of mine couldn't even get his to start. I played on Series X, so that's that.
All right.
Yeah,
Chance.
that's mine.
Numero
My
tres.
number 3 is also Lego Star Wars.
Yeah.
I think Chris
Nice.
summed it up pretty well. I really enjoy Lego games, and when this game was coming out, I had my thoughts of what I wanted it to be. Just another Lego, because I had played through Harry Potter last year. It was on my honorable mentions for our game of the year last year. I really enjoy these games, and so when this one was coming out, I was like, I just want another Lego game that's just Star Wars that allows me to like do whatever and have fun, kind of mindlessly, but not. And that is exactly what it is. I absolutely love Lego Star Wars. I almost tried to platinum it, and then I looked at that list and I said, no, thank you. That's not for me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'll say I liked the stud multipliers in that game. Oh my gosh, they're a lifesaver
yeah.
for some of those upgrades.
Bro, immediately, like that's the first thing you do once you find one of those like tokens or whatever. It's like, okay, I'm gonna start stacking these stud multipliers until it's like at like 38 or whatever, 3,800 times.
Something
and you're
like
just
that,
like getting you're getting true Jedi within like the first 2 studs. You just like cough and you have it at the beginning of a level.
Yeah.
Love that game.
So my number 3 is a little game called Escape Academy. Just played through this on stream with friend of the show, Billy the Door, and it's just such a fun puzzle game. Like even after the first play session we had, which I think we played about through half the game one stream, half the game the other, VODs of which are on the YouTube channel. You can go find those. And I was just telling him, it's like, literally from the days in between those streams, I had not stopped thinking about that game. It is just such a fun puzzle game to play with somebody. It is single player and multiplayer. You can do local and online. I will say it was really cool because it is cross-play too. It's like he was playing on Steam, I'm playing on Xbox. And
Sorry, which game?
Escape Academy.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
It is single player, but I would really recommend playing it with somebody, whether it be a significant other, a loved one, or a friend.
Or a hated one.
Or a hated one. Yeah. But because it is just one of those, like, because you get plenty of time to do these puzzles, but having just that extra set of eyes, because there's so many times where like I wasn't seeing something that Billy noticed, or I noticed something that he wasn't noticing, and it was just great because you can actually see each other's screens too online, which I know some people didn't really like.
Okay.
Because it's still split screen online, so it's like he could be pulling something up while I'm trying to enter that code, or he could have the cipher up while I'm trying to enter it, so he doesn't have, you don't get that communication mishap. Which I know some people, I guess they did, I don't say complain, but they did let the devs know, like, hey, it would be nice to turn that, their side of the screen off, so you can have that kind of extra added layer to it. So I guess they are working on a patch to add that into the game where you can turn the online split screen off.
Interesting.
but it is a great game. The story is very, I would say it's simple, but it's more meant to be around the puzzles. The people that made this game, I don't know the name of the studio off the top of my head, but they actually are escape room creators, not actually video game devs. So they teamed up with some people to actually just make virtual escape rooms. And they basically kind of put this story together that it's like an academy for escape artists.
Oh, fuck yeah.
So
It's really cool.
It's a fun puzzle game. It's one that it doesn't beat you over the head. You do get hints. And I'll say the story, it's simple, but man, Billy and I were into it, and we were just eating all of it up. So we were just loving all the twists and turns that it had. So I really recommend it. Another Game Pass game, so go check it out.
Them
We love a good
being
Game Pass game.
hell yeah. Them being escape room people and then making this game makes me want to go check it out more, just because I
it's so
really
good.
enjoy it. Like, anyway, I had not really heard a lot about this game until you just talked about it, and it sounds super fun.
And they actually,
never
because
been in an escape room before.
I've never been in
Same.
one.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, yeah.
All right, bonding
Same.
experience, guys.
My significant
screens.
other.
Share screens, escape room, or Escape Academy IRL.
oh yeah, yeah.
Well,
We're
I
never
think
making it out of the first room. Learen's
do-
going to solve all of the problems by herself while we're all bickering.
100% one. That ain't the truth, bro.
Every time I hear about this game, I have to remind myself that the creators are escape room people, because I'm thinking of it more, and I guess like it's similar, but still, escape rooms have like a vibe to them usually. I keep comparing them in my head to like the old Flash games of like Escape the Room, Escape the Car. If anybody
Yeah.
remembers those,
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
No, these are legit like escape rooms, and like there's even some levels that like it don't start off as like an escape room, but like it's just they have some very interesting twists on them. And I will say the one thing we found out is the hint system cannot really be very useful, because there's a couple things that we're just stuck on something we couldn't figure out. We use the hint button and it's just like it tells us the thing we're looking at. It's like, yeah. Like
I know that part.
rather than hitting it about another 2 or 3 times to get the information we actually needed, it's like, cool. Like there was one time we just were not understanding the puzzle, and then we just hit random buttons and got past it. We did.
Perfect.
That's always fun.
But I think there was
Which
1 or
key
2
is it?
levels that we needed just like maybe like 30 more seconds, and they actually give you an option to either retry the entire level or just give you like 5 more minutes. And so, yeah, within that we were able to, like I said, another like 30 seconds we would have had it, but it was just, it's great. They give you plenty of time if you're playing with 2 people. Single player, I could see you running up to the time limit quite a few more times, just because there is a lot to do in some of these rooms. So
Yeah,
but
sure.
Makes sense.
It sounds like they want people to really enjoy this game with like including both screens, just to make sure if I really enjoy that.
Like A Way Out, or something along
Yeah,
those lines.
yeah.
Yep.
To where you always see what the other person's doing.
But the big thing I do want to say is that because this game, it's not procedurally generated. So once you know the puzzles, you know the puzzles. So
Like that's it. Yeah.
so there's not a ton of replayability to this, but they are adding updates throughout the year. So there will be more levels. There's going to be DLC. There's going to be updates. So keep your eye on it.
That's cool.
Jordan, number 2.
My number 2 game of the year so far is Horizon Forbidden West.
Ooh.
Now the reason that this is a number 2 for me, it did take me a little bit longer to beat the game just because it came at a busy part for me. But I think I've realized that like the Horizon games, while they are objectively amazing, I don't think I vibe with them. I think the biggest thing that I don't like about them is I want them just to be story games, but it looks like they want to make themselves an RPG.
Yeah.
And it's one of the
That's a
things
great
where
way
like
to put it.
in God of War, I was able to like not really pay attention to the RPG elements, just kind of upgrade whatever, go, oh, this move looks good. But if I did none of that, or once at the point where I stopped paying attention to it just because I'm used to the moves I have, I'm still able to get through the game. Horizon really, really wants you to be like, oh no, you should have a build for like the fire animals, then you should have a build for the water animals, and
Yep.
then you should have one with poison. And
It wants to be both Assassin's Creed and Monster Hunter at the same time
Yeah.
in
And
my
that's
head.
yeah, because it does have a lot of side stuff to do. And then within that side stuff, you can just get more parts, fill up the world. And it's one of those things where I felt almost punished for not doing that, where I think the entire game, I was only able to override like 2 animals
Yeah.
until like the one that you get as part of the story at the very end. And that's just because I wasn't collecting these parts. Like every time I went to an upgrade table, I almost never had enough materials to do upgrades to what I had.
So this
And
is my number 2, and I would like to jump in right there.
Go ahead.
I tried my damnedest. I like games like that are RPG. It is so freaking hard to upgrade anything, even if you're trying to go find the shit. Continue.
Yeah. No, so I think the story is really good. It does get a little confusing, but again, I played it over the course of months, so definitely there's some connective threads that I probably miss and wonder how things relate. Um Aloy, sometimes I feel like they get so close to making her like a full person, and she'll say something that just feels like it falls flat or feels as though there's no character development. Um, but I'm talking all the bad stuff about the game because I think the good stuff like has already been said on all the podcasts that came out earlier
is
this year.
A good ass video game.
It is a
just
good
has some
game.
I need to
issues.
get back to it.
It
is worth
looks
beating.
great. It plays great. Definitely worth beating. It's just I think it leans into the RPG elements a little too much. I'd love for them to
Yeah.
scale it back.
100,
I-
like 30%.
I also played it this year, and it didn't even make my honorable mentions list. I won't talk too long about it because I'm actually pretty down on the game. But I do agree with Jordan that it did kind of feel like side content is not side content when you basically need it to get through the rest of the game. It reminded me of if I don't know if any of you guys played Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, where it's like, here's all of these side quests. If you want to be the proper level to continue the main story, you have to do all of the side quests. And I was like, well, don't call them side quests then.
And they don't do it in a way where they almost, I don't know, like, so
They
when I played
railroad you
through when I played through like
them.
Final Fantasy VII, I don't think I did every single itty bitty quest, but I did all the like rectangles that come up in each new area.
I did the cup noodles one.
I felt very encouraged to do those like, I guess, like more substantial side missions is like
almost
what
like
I'd
high
call them.
priority stuff as opposed to like kill 10 boars or whatever.
Yeah. So this game doesn't encourage me to do that. And again, I was trying to rush through it. Again, at some point I did just switch it to super easy mode because that game can also get fucking tough. I think playing it partially
And it's long.
alongside and partially back to back with Arceus made me go, I don't want another game where animals fucking attack me in the wild for a while. Like, I need my next game to take place at a petting zoo. Everything I see is nice. Nothing's jumping out at me.
Jordan's gonna find Animal Crossing PvP and just be upset. Just
Competitive Animal Crossing, bro.
But yeah, so I'd say that's like the reasons that I'm down on it, or the reason that it's a number 2 of the year so far for me, and not like a number 1, because it is objectively a fantastic game.
But just so we can get the conversation over with, do you mind if I piggyback off of him?
Yeah, go ahead.
It is also my number 2. I really enjoyed the first one. Came out at a time where I really needed something to focus on, and it allowed me that outlet to kind of escape. This one was coming around, very excited about it, and it just feels like their reach was just too far for how much the game should have been. It should have been like exactly like Jordan said, like dialed back a bunch, like really pay attention to these, like, and make it more about these individual experiences instead of how many different fucking T-Rex sites can we get across this map? How many, like, how big can this like map be? I really feel like Jordan will understand this. Just be like, there's the first area, like the Daunt or whatever, and then there's the second area, and then there's the third area, and then there's the fourth area. And like by the time you get to the third area, that is like when I stopped for a minute because it was getting too much. The combat in it takes a little bit to get used to, and like you really don't get the tools you need to like take on anything with just one build until the end of the game, which is kind of shitty. And like even then you have to go to like the melee pits and stuff to get like cool bows, which doesn't make any sort of sense. Maybe it's not the melee pits, it doesn't matter. It's a really, really good game, but Aloy is super hollow, and she's starting to remind me more of Master Chief, like the more I play the games, which I don't think is their intention. Like somebody that you are projecting yourself on instead of an actual person.
I feel like they don't know how far they want to go with that. sorry to interrupt, but it's like
Yeah.
you have the dialogue options, but it sounds
It
like
doesn't matter.
So I think
almost and no choice you make matters, and the only choice that you do kind of make when it comes to I don't want to spoil anything, but I believe it's Angela Bassett's character at the end.
Yeah.
What you just made you make a decision regarding her.
yeah,
Hold
she's
on.
in yeah,
Bo,
she's
you
in
okay
the
there?
Oh, did you
Yeah,
not
she's
know
I
in
she's
didn't
in
know
the
Angela
game?
Bassett. No,
Yeah, she's
I
in the
didn't know
game.
this.
She's in the
I
game.
would have got a PS5.
to
She's a
piggyback off
badass too.
again, they piggyback off of that point too. I think one video game donkey, maybe you've heard of him. It makes a great point in his video on that, to where it's like, yeah, there's tons of dialogue options in every conversation, but presented to you at the beginning is well, one, it's like it gives you all of the information you need to keep the story going before you even get the option to start selecting dialogue options. So none of that matters, and there's an option to just quit, to just stop. You have the mission. You can leave this conversation and go do your thing. This button lets me play the game more, so I'm gonna pick that button every time. I don't give a shit about all of the rest of these people, and I felt exactly the same way, to where I was like, yeah, I didn't talk to anyone any longer than I needed to.
Also, Bo, would you believe me if I told you Carrie Ann Moss was also in this game?
Also a
I
badass.
wouldn't pop off the same way.
Okay, it's
well,
fine.
That's
It's understandable, but I'm just letting you know that both of them are in this game. But yeah, so you
I'm
make one
happy for
decision
Carrie
regarding
Ann.
her character, and all that really changes is like
a
a
cutscene.
cutscene at the end.
Yeah.
Which I'm not a fan
You
of.
don't get anything like real, like they instead of having incentives that make it a hard choice. Like, honestly, the choice I made, I kind of wish I chose the other option, because I looked at what that other option brought and it made one of my homies happy, and so I would have just rather have done that.
Yeah. And then the other thing,
I'm done with games giving you one choice at the very end of the game, and then
Oh,
having
this isn't like the main
a
choice.
well, I mean, either way, it's like Ghost of Tsushima did that, and I was like,
Oh,
why
yeah.
would you do that? Just if at any point throughout the game none of the choices matter, don't make the last choice matter. I hate
unless
that.
there's
Drives
no
me nuts.
choices and then there's a choice at the end, I feel like that's different. That's like a
Sure.
switcheroo. But don't, like you're saying, don't give me a game of choices, but only the one at the end matters. I'd rather there be no choices until the end one.
Correct. I would just rather there be no choices. Give me all
That's
choices
it.
or no choices. Give me Mass Effect or give me Uncharted. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that I felt has always been weird, or not weird, something weird in the game that like stands out to me is like they made the decision not to give Aloy a romantic interest, which I'm 100% down for. I think it really tears down a lot of like the stereotypes that you'll get, or like reoccurring themes. But rather than just like double down on that decision, they have like almost every side character flirt with her for some reason.
And it is like kind of gross.
Every dude
Like,
in the
there's
game is
the
horny.
It's almost like they're trying to remind
so
you.
horny.
They're trying to remind you. Hey, she doesn't want anyone. Hey, look what we're doing. Isn't that good? Isn't it good? We're not giving her a love interest, and it's like I'd rather them show and not tell.
What's the dude with the chops and the mohawk?
Varl?
Maybe,
No,
sure.
that's the
hammer.
That's the other guy that
Nora
shows
dude.
up in the beginning with the
Yeah.
beard, and then he shaves.
He's talking about the Osram guy, who I also was going to bring up. Go ahead. I want you to say what you're going to say.
Because he was in the first game.
Yeah, the Osram guy.
Spends the entire game thirsting after after Aloy. Second game, for the first time you see him, it's like you've gone to save him, right? It's like you're going to help him, and he's like, still can't get with you, hun. And she goes, nope, and I'm like, and he just continues doing that throughout the whole thing. I'm like, fucking change your life, dude. She said
Take
no
a
like
hint.
3 years ago. Just stop. It's so annoying. And every character in the game is like that. It drives me insane.
Well, even Varl like starts flirting with her.
How do real women deal with this from real people? I got annoyed by all these digital dudes in this video game that I only played like a quarter of. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Erend.
Oh my God.
There's a moment.
Erend. Erend.
Aaron, thank you. Yeah,
Yep.
he drove me up the fucking wall. He's so annoying.
Well, there's a moment where like you humor him and you can have a beer with him, and it's like, oh, so like she says some shit that kind of like is leading him on, but then they double down on she doesn't want to be with anybody, and it's like, choose a side, please, because he's gross, but you're making his.
Again, I like the side
I don't
they've
have to talk to
chosen.
you anymore button, so I never got that scene.
Again, I
Fair.
like the side they've chosen. I've liked that they went just because we have a female protagonist doesn't mean there has to be a love interest.
I don't want him to. I want him to stop hitting on her. Just let her be.
Yeah.
On
It's
the
every
wings of the
it's
10 or
every dude
whatever
in
the
the
fuck.
game. Yeah, it's every
that's the issue.
dude in the game.
If it was one or two dudes, I feel like I'd be a lot less angry because inherently that's going to happen. I think it works best with the Sun King for some reason. I just feel like that dynamic is the one
Yes.
that works the best.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I feel like that trope of like the royal person who isn't even hiding that they're flirting, they're like, "Come, be my queen," is such a thing where you're like, "No, like I'm gonna back off here." Varl saying these weird comments, just like, no, we're just friends, haha, JK, unless like,
And then he
not
just
Varl,
starts
again,
fucking
sorry,
the hippie
Aaron.
chick like immediately.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Listen, we've all had nights out. We've all connected with somebody in a minute. We've all been macking with somebody without knowing their last name. We've all been there.
That's all
Varl
you've been
goes
doing
from
without
like
knowing your life?
it's like you faint, you wake up, and Varl and this girl didn't like just have
Aaron.
tension. They were already like, "This is my wife.
Yeah.
Welcome." And you're like, "How long was I out?" And then like again, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's something that happens with their characters, like at the beginning of what I'd call the third act, where I'm like, "This was unnecessary. This didn't even
100%.
feel realistic. You guys have known each other 2 weeks."
Enough.
Yeah.
They seem like horny high schoolers, 100%. Like,
Yeah, and it's part of you wants to go is like, you're like, do I want to know more about like what sex is in the Horizon world? Because everybody's just really clamming for it.
I was gonna say it's probably stinky.
Yeah, for sure.
very oily. Oh,
Yeah.
one thing that I found very funny is that like the Tanakh, the local tribe or whatever that like you run into in the Forbidden West, know that the people from the first game, like those tribes, think that they're like savages and that they drink like oil and shit, and so they're like constantly teasing them about it. And there's this one, like you just pick up collectibles and you kind of piece together the story. There's a bunch of Oseram dead around a campfire, and you like pick up a note and it's like, oh, we set up camp and there was this Tanakh here and he screamed at us and he drank a bunch of oil and then he took off. And then there's another note being like, yeah, so Harold went and got some oil and passed it around at the fire because he said it made the Tanakh like really strong and my tummy's not feeling good. And they all just fucking died. It's pretty great. Like, I really like that type of environmental storytelling.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that stuff in the game is great for sure.
Anyway.
So if I like put this down to like easy and just I don't say run through it, but like at least get through like I don't say
There's
golden
even
path it,
there's
but, like,
there's a level even more than easy. There's just like story, like how like the PlayStation games have started adding like story mode as a difficulty where they're like,
Mhm.
if this, you just want to get through the story, play this. It's like the best version of baby ass baby mode.
So I would play the main story, and then they tried to do a Mass Effect like loyalty mission thing with all of your cohorts. I would do those, and that's like
Okay.
the only missions that I would really mess with.
Cool. Because I've been meaning to get back to this because I only played through like I got through the Daunt and then which is essentially the tutorial area and then got through the gate and then I think I did the first Tallneck after that and then just put the game down for whatever
Oh,
reason.
and there is a Tallneck that you can't get until like the end of the game, so don't even try because I wasted 2 hours of my damn life trying to figure out if that was a puzzle, and it turned out not to be. Oh, I was so
Gotcha.
mad.
Good to know. All right, moving on. Bo, what's your number 2 game of the year so far?
Shouldn't be surprised that this is on my list, but Destiny 2: The Witch Queen.
Hey,
That's on my honorable mentions.
Fuck! Oh no!
It is
I didn't think about it as I have to redo my list.
like
Yep.
I've honestly, it's one of those things where
Chris
I
is gonna
have,
crunch his numbers.
Okay, that's
yeah,
also
you,
my number 2.
you got to talk to your accountant. Like as a Destiny fan from day one, it's one of those things where I never thought that it would get this good. Like I really thought that the game would die out before it got this good, and with the level of like the consistency of improvements that they're making, like when they introduced Witch Queen, they had the best story in Destiny history. Like not even a question. Like Forsaken was very good, but Witch Queen's campaign was excellent. The new weapon archetype, the glaive, is really fun to use, and it's like it was one of those things where when it came out, everyone was using it. I really liked it when it first came out, but there wasn't a lot of like, no one really knew what to do with it. Now people are dominant, like in PvP, they're dominating. In high-end PvE content, they're using it because it's just very versatile.
It's
Very good
snazzy.
perks.
Yeah, and it's just fun to use.
Yeah.
But and the fact that it's so good right now, and my main thing is I know it's going to get better. like Destiny or Bungie specifically has been communicating with the community very, very, very frequently. And anytime I have an issue with something, or like I notice something that bugs me in the game, I can know that if there's already, or I can know that like it's going to get fixed, either because they're going to announce that it's going to get fixed in like 2 days, or it was already announced that it's going to get fixed, and I just have to wait like an hour and the patch will come through. If you're not a Destiny fan, like it's the onboarding is still not great, but at the same time,
it's really not.
it's really bad.
I jumped
But
off at Forsaken. How hard would it be to get?
You'd probably be all right.
Forsaken, you'd be fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like if you haven't played Destiny since like Destiny 1, yeah, like it's going to be.
Oh yeah.
They'll fix that eventually, I'm sure, but I'm confident that they will fix that eventually. So
the Witch Queen, is there any relation to the Witch King? Because that was a DLC from the first one, right?
The Taken King is the first one, and they are brother and sister.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and they actually do a good job of explaining all of that. Like, see,
They
you
work some
didn't
of that
know
into
that
it,
in the Taken King because you had to read all the lore on the internet. But in the game, they have these really great cutscenes. The voice acting is all fantastic. Even the in-mission dialogue is very, like, and all of that to say, the actual lore that you still have to, like, you get a weapon, then you read the lore description on it. All of those have been top notch. Like, we've had some of the best ongoing like live service storytelling. I mean, well, I feel like they're kind of pioneering right now. I can't think of any other game that does something similar to this on this level, like this frequently. But yeah, like I if you're a Destiny fan, we eating. Like that's just it's we're gonna keep eating. Like the showcase on the 23rd, it is a great time to be a Guardian.
I will say,
I can't wait for it. It's gonna be so
one of
good.
the cool exotics you get from this DLC or this expansion, a grenade launcher where a worm is your ammo.
A talking worm.
A talking worm. Yep.
Like, does
That's
the
some
worm help
cyberpunk
you?
shit.
Like, is it like Clippy? That's like, hey, I'm seeing you're
No,
trying
the
to
worm-
kill this
Actually, it
person.
wants to kill you.
The worm hates you with everything in its being, and it's so
Because
fun.
you
And that's why you
created it.
take it and shove it in the gun and shoot it.
You know how GLaDOS would just constantly taunt you in Portal 2. It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I was really hoping
It's
that
a
this
good
worm
gun,
was
too.
like from like the like famous internet question of like, if a snail needed to kill you, like, would it be able to catch you? I thought this worm was that, and anytime it got close, you were like, nope, I'm making you ammo.
It's like in pain, and it wants to. I can go into so much detail.
It's a whole thing.
It's
It's
a
a
whole
whole
thing.
Worm,
Yeah.
but it's
Let's go on a
another
crazy
podcast.
quest to get it.
Destiny has hit Star Wars level of like expanded universe in terms of in its lore, to the point where there is nothing that ever appears on screen in Destiny that doesn't have a huge amount of backstory to it, and I love that for it. That might be a part of the reason why I'm so attracted to the damn game.
The reason it started, from what I understand, like the reason the story kind of spawned is because they knew that they were trying to make a first-person shooter. Like they're coming off of Halo, so they're going to just stick with their roots. And they were like, well, we know that we want swords. And the other half was like, well, we want like a sci-fi thing. And they were like, well, why don't we do sci-fi swords? Okay, well, our characters are going to die a lot, and we need them to come back, because if you're going to play multiplayer, you're going to die and then come back. So how do we make that like make sense? Yeah, so they invented ghosts. And then how do you... Like everything is so
It's
well
one of
put
the
together.
coolest.
It's so good.
It's one of the coolest examples I've ever seen of somebody managing to take gameplay mechanics and turn that into lore in a way that works. Like Halo 4, like 343 tried that with Halo with 4 and 5, to where all of like and I think also Infinite, to where like the multiplayer is supposed to be like training grounds for the Spartans or whatever, but they kind of just gloss over it. It's like, yeah, but you die in those games, and they go, eh. Whereas that's the mechanic. It reminds me. I think the only other game that does it like as well as Destiny does, I think, is like Hades, right? To where like the idea of getting as far as you can, dying, and then starting over is what the story of that is as well. So the point where you have like literally every mechanic in the game just kind of being like, yeah, no, this is that way because it's in the lore. It's at no point.
Yeah, Hades has that out because it takes place in
thing.
hell. Because Hades takes place in hell, it has that out lore-wise that you have to like really try to think of a way with other games.
Yeah, and so
it's like it'll take
Nathan
a step
Drake doesn't
where...
get shot, his luck gets worse.
So like when you die, you see your ghost like chill there for a bit, and then when you respawn, it has the whole like you are coming back to life. Like it's because you'll get decimated and like exploded into a billion little pieces because of electricity. Like you are atoms, and then they bring you back.
Like,
it
isn't the
works for
lore reason is
multiplayer
that
too.
they pull you out of the danger to respawn you? That's why you spawn
No,
back a little bit.
you die. Like the beginning
You're
of
dead.
Destiny is you've been
But
dead
I'm-
for like hundreds of years.
Yeah.
So
And
I
then-
remember all that, but I'm meaning like when the ghost respawns you, isn't the lore reason why it takes you further back in the level, like out of the danger, because like the
No,
okay, never mind.
You died, and then they resurrect you. Like it's you die if you were left long enough, your body would decay, and then
Well,
your
which is
ghost-
also again a cool way to just so something that they do specifically in the Witch Queen, and just consider this part of my part 2. I have a different game that I originally wrote that I'll talk about, but I have 4 in my top 3. Fuck you. So there are now of course, and the reason that you can come back to life is because you've been touched by the light. You are a guardian, and now there are enemies that have the light and have ghosts and
Yeah.
can respawn. And they have supers and similar powers to what the Guardians do. And when you kill them, you have to take their ghost and crush it.
Fuck yeah.
To stop
Oh,
them
that's so
from
It's so
metal.
cool.
And you have to take that and you crush it in their hand, and then your ghost is like, dude, what we did is super fucked up.
Yeah.
There's like this weird morality thing to where it's like they're the enemy, but they have our powers now. That's part of this new expansion, and it's so fucking cool. Oh my god, it's so rad. Yeah, everything about this game is just metal as shit. Come, be one of us, baby.
and weapon
Yeah.
crafting. I hadn't even brought.
Just getting back to
weapon
Oh,
Hungry
weapon
Hungry
crafting, yes.
Like the game it's as close to Destiny 3 as I think we will ever get, because I don't think they're gonna like
Yep.
release an official Destiny 3 because we have the DLCs planned into like 2028.
I think it's
something,
2
but
forever.
yeah.
Well, isn't
then
that
we'll just drop
initially
the
what they
2.
wanted to do with Destiny
Like a
1?
10-year
And
game.
then,
And
Activision-
Activision said no, Destiny 2.
yeah, they
Yeah.
wanted numbers.
Well, I mean, at some point, I mean, I feel like the same thing has happened, and I'm not too familiar with these games. So, like, if the fans of these games are clamoring for a 3, correct me. But like, when I hear about Team Fortress 2 or Dota 2, I don't think we're ever getting a third in those. I think those competitive scenes have been what they are, and there is no point to remake the engine. Now, if you get a
Yeah.
game like Destiny that is trying not to only keep the old people, but like bring new people in at some point, maybe you go, we do need to update an engine because you're working. Like, look at GTA Online.
So
Yeah.
they
The
have
fact
done
that engine is 9 years old.
I feel
sticks
like
out.
Bungie, like they understand multiplayer in a way that Rockstar never can,
I
because
know
like
it's not an
they
apples to
are
apples
the
situation.
So what
but
they
I could
did with the
see
last
getting to that
expansion-
point.
what they did with the last expansion, and they introduced what's called like a Destiny content vaulting, which I'm sure happens in a lot of MMOs, where
Put it in the Disney
as
vault.
time goes on, certain activities,
Yep.
certain destinations will just be put in the vault so that they can be updated. Because
Is
for example,
Icebreaker been brought
Champions-
back yet? Has
What is it?
Icebreaker been brought back yet?
I
You remember
I'm not-
Icebreaker?
Vaguely.
No.
The sniper from D1?
Oh no! I mean, so that's another thing. They will reprise weapons to fit in the current engine or whatever. But then when they introduce new environments, like Europa from Beyond Light, they added a whole weather system to that area. So like you'll be driving around, and then oh my god, a snowstorm happens, and it looks fantastic. Like
Mhm.
you can tell going from like Earth to Europa, like you can tell that there's been a giant bump in budget and in
Oh,
like
yeah.
tech, and yeah,
When did Beyond Light come out? Was that the most recent?
2019.
Yeah. That was the one. That was the one before.
No, 2020.
That was the one before Witch Queen.
Oh
Yeah.
shit! I think I played that one. Maybe
That
That was the
That
one
was
where
the
they were
one-
like, you could play
Forsaken,
free.
Shadowkeep, Beyond Light, and then
Beyond
Witch
Light.
Queen. Yeah,
Yep.
Because Beyond Light was the one where they had that new subclass.
yeah,
Yeah.
Stasis, and
Stasis,
also they
yep.
with Witch Queen they started rolling out the 3.0 subclass. Like, there's just so much new stuff. Like it's Destiny 3. It really is. But I feel like I've talked about this for way
We
too long.
love
I also
Solar
have to pee, so I'll
3.0.
be back.
And we
It's
had
incredible.
a spoiler cast too on Witch Queen.
So good.
I did do a spoiler cast on that one. Yeah, Witch Queen is awesome. Highly
Mhm.
recommend.
All right. Chris, I know you said you Destiny 2 is kind of your
Hey,
number two, but what's your other
yeah.
one?
Just because I completely forgot about
'Cause
Destiny
you-
2, and
'Cause
I'm so
you
mad.
almost pulled a game of the year where you forgot about Tony Hawk. So
Fuck, that still haunts me to this very day. So my number 2 is actually a game that I've been playing for the last 2 weeks, and it is a little gem called Neon White.
yeah,
Alec actually sent this game to me because I think Bo bought it for him, and
Yep.
then he was just like, "I'm just passing it along." So I went and gifted it to a buddy of mine as well. And
Nice.
we just have this little train going. But for the last 2 weeks, I'm in the process of moving again. That's why I'm here.
the Void.
In the void, and I needed a game that was offline that would run on Steam Deck and also was not very large because my Steam Deck came the day before I started moving out of my
Oh,
apartment.
jeez.
And so this has been a lifesaver because I disconnected my internet for a bit and I needed video games. I would take it to work with me, connect it to the Wi-Fi, download updates and install things, and then go home and play games on it after I spent hours like packing and moving things. Right.
Hustling.
So Neon White though was a game that I remember hearing good things about. I remember it coming up at the whatever E3 showcase or Nintendo Direct, I assume.
I think it was
That
one of the indie worlds for Nintendo.
it originally showed up on. And I was like, this is a cool concept to where it's like it's a game that's sort of based around the concept of like speed running. Essentially,
Yep.
the elevator pitch is that it's a game where every level you have to defeat all of the enemies within it and get through it as quickly as possible. You pick up cards throughout each one of the levels. Each card is a weapon, but that you can fire a pistol or a rocket launcher or whatever. But you can also discard that, get rid of it, and it gives you an additional movement ability. So the pistol gives you an additional jump. The rifle allows you to dash. The rocket launcher has a grapple hook, and
SMG is like a stomp.
Yeah, exactly. And so you're just trying to fly through this level as quickly as possible, picking up these cards, and it's got this cool puzzle element to figuring out what you need to use at what time, and also the execution of it because it's fast. It's a quick game.
Oh yeah, like you can beat
you're-
levels in like 10 seconds. Sometimes.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, some levels are just seconds long, depending on how good you are and like just kind of how well you can execute. I was a little worried about how it would play with the controller, but I played the entire thing on Steam Deck and I really like it. Talk about Neon White, Bo.
I was about to say
That's my number two.
Honorable mention. I probably am going to
Yeah.
second everything that you
Same.
say. So just
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, and I think really like the only detractor for me because like the gameplay is great. The gameplay is what carries this game by
Oh
far.
yeah, 100%.
But I was 3 levels into it the other night, and I was like, I think I love this game. I was like, what? Like after it took me a second and like a few levels in, and it clicked, and then I went, oh no.
It's the most like lean forward while you play game,
Yes,
and then as soon as you finish a level, you go, oh, okay, all right.
Like,
okay,
every time
let's
I
go back into it.
But at the same time, it's like I'm here, I'm focused, I'm locked in. But it's also it's that and also one of the most zen games I think I've ever played to the point where I finish the level. Yeah, I feel myself breathing and then I go, all right, let's do it again. Let's see if I can do it faster now. Because I had to have at least a gold medal on every level, and I do. And I'm
yeah.
thinking about going back and beating all of Billy's scores because I saw that all of his times were faster than mine, and I don't like that.
Billy
Nano
Nano needs to be
is
stopped.
crazy.
He's so good. It's unreal
But
how
Billy,
good
yeah.
he is. I'm about
Yeah.
to start looking up speedrunning strats for some of these fucking levels.
Well, that's the cool thing with this game, though, is that it's almost like I'm kind of taking this from I think something that the nanobiologist tweeted out, but there's almost like 4 different runs you do. You do your initial run just to get a baseline, feel what the level's like. Then you can do a run for your best time, and then there's there's a run to just get the gift because there's these gifts in levels because. A part of the game is like you're also building like social stats between some of the other characters.
So let me talk about that for a second, if I could. So when I say how much I love the gameplay, when I tell you that my review of this game and my good feelings on this game are based entirely around the gameplay itself, and that's it. What it feels like to play all of these levels. There is a story that is poopy doo doo bad. I can't stand it.
Dog ass.
I can't stand it. I hate it.
I just want to give a lukewarm defense. It's it doesn't pretend to be anything else.
No.
It tells you what it is in the first little like intro when you meet the other characters, the other neons.
You are a sinner pulled from hell to essentially run these levels in heaven with the idea that you will gain like some sort of, so you're in the afterlife, and that's what all this. It's some anime shit, and it does not try to act like it's serious or anything. And I will give you that. Like it's not pretending it's anything other than it is. It does
the
have
voice acting is I
Poppy
think
Steve
something that should be like Steve Bloom. I feel like everyone plays their character extreme. Like even the bits that I feel uncomfortable with, where it's the over the top horny character that is being over the top horny.
Violet.
I have a name.
Violet. Even then,
Violet.
whoever did the voice for her is fantastic. So like
The
It might
voices
not
are
be
good, but the
everyone's cup of
dialogue
tea,
is
but it is a
horrible.
cup of tea. Like
The dialogue is some of
Yeah.
the worst dialogue I've heard in a video game in a really, really long time, and especially and when I think of shitty dialogue in a game, I think of Neon Yellow and Neon Violet.
I think it's clever.
White, red, and green were fine, but yellow and violet felt like they were
So
some of the terms. Occasionally they tried to use Gen Z slang, but it feels like it was written by boomers, and I fucking god, it drives me up the wall every
I'll
every
say
single day. They're
yellow.
saying "statty" and all this stuff.
This is more just for people that like Persona. Yellow is basically Ryuji.
Ryuji. Yep. He's
Sure.
just Ryuji.
Except
and I love
Ryuji is fun.
Yeah,
Regardless, we're talking about the gifts and that sort of thing. I did it once, and I never did it again. I didn't give a shit about it. I don't care about these characters. I didn't do any of that.
Although
There's
I
one good
will say-
character, and his name is Mikey.
Although I will say, you can do some really cool side missions if you give gifts. There's some really cool side missions.
So that was the thing is, and maybe it's because you have the option to fast forward through the dialogue in all the games. So I did because I wanted to play it more. I played like 3 levels, and then it started talking at me, and I went, "Stop that! I want to play the video game." Because it activated a part of my brain where I was like, I want to do nothing except play the levels in this game. This is so fun, and I just
Well,
through it. I
spoiler.
missed all of the gift stuff, which
Mhm.
also meant that I missed all of the side missions to the point where if you don't do all those side missions, you don't get the real ending of the game.
oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yep,
Stop that trend.
yep.
But,
Gotta do
I'll
all
say,
the gifts and side
when
missions
you-
and stuff if you want the good ending.
Do you think real ending and secret ending are mean different things to you?
Oh. Oh yeah,
Yes.
sorry. Yes, they mean different things.
Yes.
Okay.
I was just gonna one quick thing so we can move on. I was just gonna say that along year, if you could just play the levels, when you beat the game, you can just do an endless mode where it's just back to back all the levels in the game.
I've done it a couple times. I haven't finished it, but it's really fun.
So yeah,
Highly recommend. Yeah, it's
Oh,
you can. It's really easy to ignore the story. The game's really fucking fun. It's not crazy long, and like you start it like once it clicks, like it'll
yeah.
hit, and
there's
then
boss battles in this game. They're
Oh
so
my
big
god,
ones.
they're so good, and they're so good.
I've only
I was
done
on
one,
the
but it is
opposite.
so crazy.
I didn't love the boss battles actually, but by the end of it though, like you're just pulling off like some of the most insane shit that you ever thought you would. They do such a good job of rolling out
Keyboard
the
mouse,
different
way to go.
abilities. They do such a good job of rolling out the different abilities and slowly working them in until you have it. And not everything like is explained to you. Sometimes like it just shows you how certain mechanics work by dying. Right? It's like, oops, it killed you. Here's what you should have. And the next time I go in, I go, oh, here's how you do it. And then the next level, there's tons of those things. And so
Yep.
it's really the gameplay. You can ignore the rest of it. Gameplay's really fucking good. Love the game.
Yep.
8 out of 10. It's a solid 15 out of 20, you know?
All
God.
right. My number 2 is a game called Sifu. So I really this game, it was gonna be one of those games where I got to like, I think it's level 2, which is the club. Was able to get through that. Or I struggled on struggled through that. Eventually did get the boss. I think that's actually where the game actually clicked for me, because I was just struggling because there's this mechanic where instead of just dodging, where you just like avoid, there's this like, or actually no, sorry, there's dodge and avoid. Dodge is like where you actually like step out of the way and like get, back yourself up or side to side or whatever. But avoid is basically like you're still like in your same spot, but you just like step to the side and dodge and weave basically, or bob and weave out of the way. And let me tell you, that moment where that mechanic clicked and I was able to get through the rest, that level, the next level, oh my gosh, that is one of my favorite moments this year, of just when a game clicks. That's like it's just hard. Like, I'm assuming like people have this with like Souls games, but like when that clicks, oh my gosh, I was able to go through the rest of that game. I still struggled, but it's
there's
such
the first time, and then there's like 3 times after where it like continues to click in those types of games where it's just like you keep getting that hit.
And man,
So it sounds like it was that way for you with Sifu.
oh yeah, yep.
Hell yeah.
Because it's also, a bit of a theme with my list. Also kind of a roguelite, I guess, because you're able to increase your moves along with still being able to, if you have to unlock them or basically 5 times or buy that skill 5 times and you permanently unlock it for your other runs. But there's only 5 levels because there's like 5 enemies that or bosses that you need to kill. And man, let me tell you, I barely beat that boss at the end. And I was just standing up like, didn't quite scream, but I was very close to just screaming, just that getting the final hit, getting the cutscene, like, because I was struggling on that last boss because he is tough because there's like certain moves that you can't use, which is kind of bullshit in a way because it's lets you use I think it's the focus moves where you can like hold, I think it's L2 or R2, and it basically brings up the
target,
wheel.
like, a specific point.
Yeah, you can't use that on the final boss. So it's basically like this core mechanic of the game. It's like, yeah, no, you just can't use that here.
Yeah, I don't like when games do that.
But honestly, that game it was so much fun. Like the struggle is real, but it's again like I'm starting to understand kind of like what the people that like Souls games are or Soulsborne games are like, where it's like you just persevere, it finally clicks, and man, Sifu clicked hard for me.
I need to go back.
I'll try Bloodborne.
I may need
I
someone
like-
to Sherpa me, but yeah, I gave it the college try a while back. Played about 4 hours of Bloodborne, and it just wasn't doing it for me.
I'm
liked
just teasing it.
But didn't love Sifu. I did not finish it, and I'm curious if it was just because I'm a big. I think I've talked about this on content before, and if I have, I apologize. There's a timing thing that felt really off as a huge like fighting game fan. I think I was expecting just maybe a little bit more like precision in certain regards, especially when it comes to like like pulling off combos and with countering that just kind of like isn't there. It was hard for me to switch my brain into the idea that this is a brawler. This is not a fighting game, despite like how pretty damn deep a lot of its mechanics are. And there was just something about it that didn't want to click with me. I don't think it's a bad game by any means, and I think other people will get lots and lots to enjoy out of it. I really like what it does stylistically. I think it's a really really cool game to look at. The rad there's a really really
Club
cool
level.
old
Yeah.
boy homage in the first level that really just it was awesome. And then I think the museum level is just one of the coolest looking things that
Oh,
I've
yeah.
ever seen in my life. Like that whole sequence is incredible. I
That's
think
a
it's
tough boss.
yeah, it's tough. That was where I stopped. I did have some issue with the difficulty in where sometimes it would just remove mechanics or do these other things to where it almost felt a little artificially difficult in parts that I didn't love. I think the game is at its strongest when you just have a bunch of people in a big room and you're just trying to creatively like fight your way through all of them. I think that's really what makes that game feel awesome, and you get into this cool flow state while running through it. Great music too, good soundtrack.
Yep, and
Yeah, good choice.
they did release an update earlier this year where they actually added difficulty options. So if you are struggling, you can turn that difficulty down.
I might drop it and just run through it just so I can see the rest of the game.
Yeah, I highly recommend it because some of those later levels are so cool with some of the stuff.
Like I don't want to sit there and grind to it. There are other fighting games that I want to play and grind through it
Mhm.
that I would love to just kind of like have that game done so I can see it.
Yep. But
Cool.
there is an end game too to get a true ending, which you can search. Like I won't say I haven't looked at the true ending, but basically you go back through the game and instead of killing the bosses, you spare them.
Cool.
So
Love that.
And that's how by sparing all the enemies instead of killing them, that's how you get the true ending.
Cool. Not doing that. Killing all of them.
Mhm. Yeah, because you can't even. I don't think you can even spare them until you've finished the game completely.
I was just referencing our earlier conversation.
Exactly.
Where it's like, nope.
Yep.
Sparing somebody? No, thank you.
Well, it is
Pass.
again. It is
Renegade all
tough
day.
to spare them because, Chris, I don't know if you remember, but yeah, that stagger bar you had to fill on them to be able to like do the finisher on them. You have to basically fill up that stagger bar once, not use the finisher on them, then fill it up again to be able to spare them.
Ooh,
So-
interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Check it out. I know I think it's only like $30 or $40. So
Mhm.
good time. All right, Jordan. Game of the year so far. Start us off.
My number one game of the year so far is The Quarry.
Oh,
Yeah.
I did not realize how much I like these games and everybody making different decisions and sitting around and talking about your different decisions until we did our spoiler cast. Like I thought it was a fantastic game before that, but I really forgot like the conversations that these type of games can bring. Yeah, Chris.
will there be any spoilers in this conversation? Because I have not played it yet.
I will not spoil anything. What I will I won't spoil anything. I'm just if you go and listen, if you have played the game or you're not worried about spoilers because you're not going to play it, listen to our spoiler cast. It was me, Alec, and Austin. And like, I got a situation where, again, I won't say anything, but I ended up in a situation with what characters I had left. I had a different last chapter name than most other people. Like, you have to get a
Yep.
very specific set of conditions to get this. And it's one thing to read about that, but like for me to have actually gone through that was very interesting. There was a whole part of the game that I didn't see. There was a part of the game that other people didn't see of mine.
How many
And
hard left turns did you have to make to get this ending?
He did it naturally. Sound like.
So without spoiling anything, something I like about this game is that a lot of the character deaths happen because of actual choices that you make and not you not getting to a quick time event enough.
I like that. That's
Fast
good
enough.
to hear.
I personally would have liked that being a little bit more mixed. Yeah.
Is there one like the one in was the Until Dawn to
Yeah.
where it's like you can't move the controller at all?
There is a different mechanic, so you have to remember Until Dawn is a PlayStation 4 exclusive, so the light
Sure.
bar was specific for the PS4.
True.
So this one has a different mechanic that this is one of the mechanics I have a little bit of an issue with because it feels like even if you do it right, there's still the predetermined ending with that event that you're going through. I don't know how to say that in a way that's any less vague, but like I don't think this is a big spoiler, but like the mechanic now is holding your breath. And sometimes you hold your breath and you hold it perfectly, but somebody can still find you.
I gotcha.
Yeah. I don't give any names. It's just a mechanic change, but
Oh.
I do like how some things pay off later. And I honestly like this has gotten me in the mood to play more Supermassive games, even though I know that this is probably the best one since Until Dawn. I kind of want to play the more mid-tier ones. But I do think that Supermassive is at their best when it's the classic situation of teens or young adults in the woods. So I would love for them to maybe make one in like this genre every year, not related to the Dark Pictures anthology. Yeah, highly recommend The Quarry. You could do multiple playthroughs with it. There's also when you go back for your multiple playthroughs, you can kind of just do a watch thing. Like you could just say, I want it's like called director's chair, where you're like, I want to see the one where everyone lives. I want to see the version where everyone dies. I want to see all the gory decisions because characters can die in normal ways and there are some really, really gory scenes in this game, which I personally am a fan of. But yeah, that's gonna be my game of the year so far is The Quarry.
And Brenda Song's in it.
Brenda Song is in it. And so are other like Ariel Winter from Modern Families in it. Halston Sage from I know her the best from the Orville, but I know she was in other stuff. She's in it. Like there's a lot of actors and actresses in here that you might have a not as big of a name as Brenda Song, but like you'll recognize at some point.
Yeah. And also, it was just cool just doing that spoiler cast and just seeing like just all the different decisions that we made and like, oh, because you did this happened. Oh, you didn't pick this up. Oh, this completely different thing happened for me.
It's interesting seeing what part is an actual story event that every player will go through no matter what, and what isn't, because sometimes they trick you.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I enjoyed what I played of that. So, but it'll probably be on my top 10 list, but it didn't make my top 3.
That's fair.
All right.
Hell yeah.
Bo, game of the year so far.
I almost didn't want to include this because I feel like it's going to be the like the game of the year in terms of the games industry at large, but like I'm also shocked no one has mentioned it yet, but motherfucking Elden Ring is. Are we just gonna
Oh, I
sit here
really
and
thought
pretend
you were
like
gonna
Yo,
Elden
say
Ring
son,
didn't come
you
out?
you fucking blowing up my spot right now. I'm being
Okay.
quiet. I got a Bloodborne shirt on.
I was gonna say,
Motherfucker.
like, when you mentioned Bloodborne, I was like, then surely I'm not the only one. Like, I can't
No,
be.
bro, I
Okay.
beat it 5 times already.
You know,
Like,
what's
you
funny
take
is
it.
I initially had it in my honorable mentions and then I scribbled it out.
Yeah, so
You saw
I
me
didn't
here
want
and
to
you're
go.
like, no need.
I didn't want to go too deep into it
No, as I
because I
didn't
don't
like it.
feel like I could do it justice. Like this is my first,
Oh, it is?
It's the first Soulsborne
So I
game
want
that
to
I
hear.
beat.
I do want to hear your experience being your first Soulsborne game because I have talked to other people who like Sekiro or Bloodborne was my first one. They've talked about those ones being their first. I haven't talked to somebody whose
Always
Elden
remember
Ring
your
is their
So
first.
this was my first
Yeah,
Bloodborne
dude.
or first Soulsborne game that I've actually beat because
Okay.
I like back in the day I played OG Dark Souls and was like, fuck this. Like I don't even think I left the first area. I was just like fuck that. And then tried Bloodborne because I heard that it was really like a lot better and a lot faster. I enjoyed it. Couldn't get out of Central Yarnum. I tried to play Sekiro. I beat Lady Butterfly. Was like, this is a 10 out of 10 feeling. I understand why people play these games. And then they were like, cool, now do that, but harder for way longer. And I was like,
Genichiro.
no, yeah,
Yeah,
I
he's
whatever the
tough.
next boss after Lady Butterfly, I just couldn't do it. But with Elden Ring, I was like, if it's going to hit, like if I because I don't have mottos, but like something I say a lot is just it's in my best interest to like things. So if there's something that I am not a fan of, like it's in my best interest to learn what makes those things good or why people like them or whatever, so that even if I don't love them, I can still appreciate them if I come across them. And the Soulsborne genre was just that for me. I just didn't have the patience for it. And I don't know what it was about Elden Ring. Maybe it was the open world. Maybe it was, but like it playing through that in 2022 made me feel the way I did playing Skyrim for the first time. But like with the added difficulty of me being a dumb kid when I first played Skyrim, it's like you go play Skyrim now and it is so funny how easy that game is. Like you don't play
Yeah.
Skyrim for the difficulty, but like I remember at the time in high school, I'm just like bad at video games, struggling through Skyrim, and now I'm like, well, I'm struggling through Elden Ring, but I feel proud that I'm struggling through Elden Ring. Like I went to Cancun for a wedding, saw a cousin that I hadn't seen in years. Just video games came up. I was like, yeah, I beat Elden Ring, and he like dropped his drink and was like, you what? And I was like, that's why I beat Elden Ring. That is exactly why I did this, so that people could, yes, thank you.
And it was like a week after the game came out. That was half the
Acknowledge
shock.
me.
Notice me, senpai. But no, yeah, Chance, what are your thoughts on the game? Because I feel like me going in, I'm like, this whole thing is amazing. First time experiencing it. So like, what are your thoughts?
Real quick, what was your build? Like, what was your favorite
Oh,
weapon,
I was-
and who was your favorite boss? Because
So-
I feel like everybody knows what they look like now.
Radon is my favorite boss by far.
Fuck yes, bro. You
By
got
far,
good
like,
taste, son.
Renala was a close. She's a close second purely for how creepy that entire interaction is. But like,
so
I mean,
weird.
Radon. I was hoping that they would like that Radon wouldn't be my favorite from the beginning because I feel like he's the meme character. Like him and Iron Fist Alexander are like the meme characters.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I didn't want to be basic, but I'm also like you're telling me this man was so big that he wanted to learn gravitational magic on the side because he's not only like a fucking beef chad, but he also cares about his mother's like sorcerer side and wants to respect that.
and also so he can keep riding his
Support
horse. Dude,
Like,
it is so
it's
good.
so good. It's so good. And oh my god, the final boss when the theme song kicks in, like spoilers, I guess, I'm not gonna describe the actions of the final boss, but like there's a point where the theme song kicks in, and I thought I had like this is it. This is
ended.
nothing will get better than this.
Dude,
Oh my
my god. I know exactly that moment. And like it feels like, and this is kind of weird to say, but it feels like a Lord of the Rings battle. Like you are fighting Sauron and like that fucking orchestra just starts playing.
Yeah.
Bloodborne's will always be my favorite just because played that game during a very difficult time in my life, kind of like Elden Ring, and maybe that's why it's speaking so much to me. But the thing that I've kind of like narrowed down on why I like these games so much is because like I have a lot of self-doubt and I have a lot of whatever brain issues, head trauma, all that fun shit. And a lot of times it's hard to get out of the bed in the morning, but I fucking beat Melania without using the Mimic tier. If I did that, I can get out of bed. If I did that, I can do my job today. And it just becomes this thing of like, you do something that you initially thought was impossible and that you could never beat, and then you own it. And like by the end of it, you go back to that beginning area where you were just getting pounded by the tree sentinel, and you're literally coughing on dudes and they're dying. Like you're walking around them like they're nothing. You're Neo-seeing the Matrix. And the thing I really like about Bloodborne is the setting. The thing I really like about Sekiro is the combat. And the thing that I really like about Elden Ring is the open world, but also the accessibility and the storytelling. This is the first Soulsborne game that actually has like a story that you can follow without reading every little single thing. And I really enjoyed that. The characters, I was memeing because George Railroad Martin was helping write it, and by damn, he did a fabulous job. It is so freaking good.
I like to think that my personal headcanon is that all of the hints on the ground were written by George R.R. Martin. That was his
Yo.
contribution.
Big drop butthole.
Yeah,
Like,
big drop butthole.
yo, those messages on the ground, like either they're the most funny meme thing, the most helpful hint, or they are just utter internet garbage that is just like the most horny 2022
Now,
shit
can you
ever.
type anything out, or is it a combination of
It's
like
preset.
What?
So,
Yeah,
Okay.
so there's like templates, so you can have like the beginning of the sentence and the end of the sentence, and you can kind of mix and match them. So like there's a but and then there's whole, so then
Yeah.
you just like use that template. I don't know. Like this game is a 10 out of 10. I feel like this has changed the industry in every way that we talk about Skyrim, we talk about Breath of the Wild, we talk about like these games that are bigger than the media, and I feel like Elden Ring is a game that's going to stand the test of time as one of those games. I really think that Breath of the Wild 2 is like, it's been pushed out long enough that I am almost positive they're going to take, not ape it or like whatever, like copy it, but they're going to take inspiration from and make Breath of the Wild 2 better, which makes me happy just because Breath of the Wild is already a 10 out of 10 game. I digest. I understand people aren't into these games, but as somebody who is, this is like as good as Endgame. Like it can't get better than this. Yeah.
Chance, I was
It is.
just gonna say, you give me chills with that.
Thank you.
Like I'm honestly thinking I might give it a try once I get a little money built up.
For the record, I played as I think it's the sorcerer, the magic, the mage, whatever. When I play video games, if you give me an option to use magic, like in Destiny 2, I've been a warlock since day one. Haven't looked back. I know now that the mage class is like the easy mode class. I don't give a fuck. It's still a satisfying way to play the game.
You played the game. It's a hard game, and you still played it the way. That's the reason I like it too. Is people say it's easier. No, it's a different play style. Like I have played mage, I've played heavy, I've played like you name it. I've beaten the game doing it, and it's just different play styles. And honestly, like for me, it does make it a little bit easier as well. But sometimes you just need that to continue to want to play the game. Another really cool aspect about it that like. The moment that you talk about for the fighting game that you just mentioned, Sifu. I almost said Simu, like the dude from. I'm just so horny for him. He's so good.
I was just gonna say that.
You talk about that moment in Sifu, and I like that moment for me in Bloodborne or in Souls games is Vicar Amelia. And if there would have been an option for me to leave Vicar Amelia and go and tune up and like really get geared up for Vicar Amelia, I feel like that would have made the experience a lot less painless with still all of the joy, because it is still very hard. That is something that Elden Ring allows you to do. You can leave, go fuck off for I shit you not 30 hours, come back, and then you just shit all over this dude and just sit in his chair like you own the place.
On purpose.
Yes.
All over him.
Like that TikTok I saw of the dude shitting in the car. Or no, that was in the Most Hated Man on the Internet documentary. Never mind. I digest. I'm done. It's maybe like the best game for me.
You took so many leaps in that one sentence. I'm amazed.
To also build off the argument that where people would be like, yeah, it's the most accessible game in the series, like quote unquote. I think it's that not because the combat is any easier than in previous games, but because you do have the option to kind of like grind it out a bit to where it's like, hey, this area is giving me trouble. I can go get stronger and come back later.
100%. And that is something that like Malenia, infamous for being like the hardest Soulsborne boss, period. As somebody who's played quite a few of them, hands down the hardest one. I went to her, and this is like my favorite example because I was already super high level when I got to her, but I wasn't high enough. And so I left for 10 hours, beat every other boss, and then came back to her. And it was still a trek, but I now had the extra little bit of hit points that I needed to get past the waterfowl dance. I had, my extra combat mojo to like get through it. And you enter this battle for the 1000th time hating this boss. You cannot wait to never hear I am the blade of Mikola ever again. And then you beat her, and it's like that is my favorite experience I've ever had in a video game. Like I worked for that trophy. Anyway, that is my game of the year. Nothing like even if God of War, which is one of my favorite games of all time, even if Ragnarok comes out, I just don't see how it can beat Elden Ring. I'm playing through it again. Like I platinumed the damn game and I'm playing through it again.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's so good.
All right, Chris, game of the year so far.
Don't make fun of me because it hasn't been out for very long.
Oh god.
My game of the year so far is Multiverses.
Oh hell yeah.
Nice.
I'm a huge Smash Brothers fan. The
Mhm.
enormous Smash Brothers fan, right? I have Fox's Down B like tattooed on my arm. Okay, because I played Melee competitively for years. I played Project PM competitively for a really, really long time. Smash 4 I owned, and Smash Brothers Ultimate
Yep.
I have also played a whole lot. I think I'm already over like 400 something hours at this point. So when I initially heard the news, hey, WB is making their own Super Smash Brothers game, I go, why bother? So many other companies have tried that before and failed. They've lost because they always try and do exactly what Smash Brothers does, and they can't. Right? It's Smash Brothers is its own thing. So Multiverses came out and said, no, we're doing our own thing as well. It just also happens to be a platform fighter, and they did it. They made a really fucking good fighting game.
Yeah, they did.
The
What are you
combos
playing it on?
feel great to well, I started playing it on Steam Deck.
Are you gonna prefer to play it somewhere else? Sorry,
but
just to make...
outside of that, I play on PC, but it doesn't matter. It's cross-platform, so you can play wherever.
Yep.
It's on everything except for the Switch, which is hilarious. And the characters all feel like really good to play. I did buy up front. I did buy the Founders Pack so I could just unlock all the characters immediately. Because I was like, I ain't doing this League of Legends rotations bullshit. Like I'm playing all the characters. I love fighting games. I have to play all of them to really know. I feel like it's decently balanced. Finn is hilariously broken, but I know that they'll get to that.
From Tangled?
That's
From
funny.
Adventure Time.
Adventure Time. Finn and Jake. Jake the dog
Gotcha.
and him. Yes, Bo.
So, question, because when did you decide that this would count? Because I have it in my, like, it is staring at my top 10 list, and I'm just like waiting to just wave the hand in. What was the moment where you were like, oh, okay, this deserves it? Because the moment for me was when I killed Tom and Jerry, and they made like the classic Tom and Jerry scream sound.
Yeah.
On the side of the screen, and I cried laughing. So what was your come to Jesus moment for this game?
Well, I mean, as far as like when I decided to be on my list, it was about 5 minutes before we started recording this was when I wrote my list. But the moment that clicked for me is, so I started out, I was playing with my brother, like the day that it came out as like early access. If you had like a Twitch drop for it, right, you could get early access. And that was a day before just, like my internet shut off, and I had to start like pack. So I was playing on Xbox, my brother and I was just like, I don't know, Harley Quinn, I guess. I was like, I know that character. Batman and Superman are locked currently, so I'll play as Harley Quinn. I want to play as one of the DC characters, right? And he'd already put a few hours in. He had Iron Giant unlocked, which is incredible that he's there and as large as he is, because for the longest time they wouldn't put Raiden or fucking what's his name from
Ridley.
Ridley into Metroid because he was too large, and Multiverse had said, "Here's the largest character that's ever been in a fighting game. Fuck you." He's like half the screen. It's incredible. They said, "Who's too large to be in a fighting game?"
Not Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel, and so they
Get that that's Vin Diesel.
yeah, man.
We need a fighting
Yeah.
game with just Vin Diesel characters because I feel like that would not be a bad.
Okay,
roster.
No,
I
that
have
would
made
be
the
a good
same
one.
pitch, but with Adam Sandler characters.
That's more
I'm here
comical.
for it. I'm here for
And-
it.
And I said
Mm.
that Jack and Jill
Yeah.
should play like the ice climbers.
Oh my
The comment
gosh.
so there's I'm playing as Harley Quinn and the game like straight up tells me it's like, hey, there are combos in this. Like you can cancel out of moves with the dodge and then use that to transition into other moves. And I did a standard attack, canceled it into forward tilt, special up special, killed them off the top of the stage, and I went, oh fuck, this game has combos. This game got true combos, bro. And it's the point where again, so one of Harley's moves is you can press. I play on an Xbox controller. So for me, it's Y is special. The B button in Smash Brothers, right? You can tap it and she'll pull out a little stuffed Batman toy that's actually like a bomb. And you press it again and she throws it, right? I did the Solid Snake thing from Smash Brothers, right? To where I stuck somebody with the bomb. I did a combo. I launched them up to the air. I activated the bomb and it blew them off the stage. And I was
That's
like,
awesome.
"Fuck yes, dude!" Like that in itself is really really fun. And then there was one point where I threw it and I stuck it to my brother, and I was like, "Can I still activate? Will it hurt him if I blow it up?" And I hit it, and it didn't. It just hurt the people that were around him, and I went, "Oh shit, that's cool!"
Oh.
That's gonna become a strategy.
I was
in,
like, "Oh
team play.
fuck!" And then one time I dodge rolled through it, and it stuck to myself, and I was like, "Will it hurt me if I hit it real fast?" And it doesn't. It just hurts the people around you, and I went, "Shit, dude, this is awesome!" And so just the whole idea of one having true combos built into the game and explained to you in the tutorial when you
The
first
tutorial
start
is
out
so
is
good.
rad. The
Oh,
tutorial
yeah.
is very very good at breaking down all the mechanics in the game. But then also the fact that I play mostly 1v1 because that's who I am, and I also just don't like teaming up with randos. But I've also I love the idea that there is this platform fighting game that's built around being a 2v2 team fighter. That's a really really interesting concept. You
Like that
have
dog
perks that you
character.
unlock.
Yeah, Rain Dog.
Rain Dog, yeah, Rain Dog, yeah.
Yeah.
You have perks that you unlock as you level characters up, which aren't like most of them aren't really like game changing. So like it's nothing huge. Although you do unlock like additional abilities for them later on. But and initially I was like, "Ah, I don't love that," and then I found out if you do local play, which is how tournaments will be run, everything's unlocked. And I went, "Oh, cool. Okay, don't
Oh,
have to
that's
worry.
cool.
It's not pay to win in that regard." Then from the competitive scene, love that. Awesome. Um, but also the idea just that there are attacks that your characters can do that benefit other characters as well. It's like Superman can essentially like generate like shields for each character. Some of the
Mhm.
more offensive ones just kind of help out in that, like Harley's ability, yeah, is that she can strap a bomb to her friend and then use it to blow to blow that up or that
Well,
sort of thing. Or
I feel
Wonder
like
Woman.
Wonder Woman, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
that might have been what I was thinking of, which adds like defensive abilities and that sort of thing. Iron
Or like
Giant can actually.
Shaggy's, if you're close enough to him when he does his like Ultra Instinct or Super Saiyan, basically, it'll buff you
It gives
too.
you, yeah, gives you the Super Saiyan buff. Iron Giant can pick up allies and move them out of dangerous spots and that sort of
So
thing.
can Velma. Oh, and I
Yeah.
didn't know this until earlier today when I'm like watching a tier list because I guess now is the time where I'm getting competitive about this game. Bugs Bunny can create a tunnel into the into the stage that his teammate can also use,
Oh,
and like they're
really?
invulnerable while they're yeah.
Yep.
Like this game is so
Interesting.
there's
There's a
so
lot
much more
going on.
depth than like there are status effects that like matter.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
are
Like
like I
weakened,
with that
there's-
so I
And
started
so
playing
it's
as Batman and like leveled up all of his shit online.
Evan's really
And
good.
so you start out like the Batarang, and your first like major skill unlock is like when your Batarang comes back, it applies max stacks of weak.
Mhm.
So you're like, okay. So I would start playing with
Okay.
people and think, okay, well, if you're going to be more offensive, I'll play more defensive with the Batarangs. But if I'm going to be more offensive, I can use the grappling hook thing, where it makes your grappling hook the most lethal weapon in the goddamn video game. Like you can get double kills on accident. Like just trying to save yourself and you pass through two people. Oh, they're dead now. And I'm sorry for interrupting. Please continue.
It adds a meteor spike to it. It's incredible.
So good.
And so yeah, it's you have this sort of just the actual like game feel. I think it is different enough from Smash Brothers to where in my mind I'm not like comparing them all the time. Like yeah, I laid this out in my own Discord server a little while back to where it's like it's kind of like if somebody tried to tell you that it was like Smash, it would be like somebody trying to tell you that Mortal Kombat is like Street Fighter. Like they're just inherently different video games. But I think part of what makes Smash Brothers what it is one, quality gameplay, and then two, also strong IP, which Multiverses has both of. It's silly in a lot of ways because you're Bugs Bunny and Tom Jerry going up against Arya Stark and the Iron Giant, or LeBron fucking James.
That's the one I've been maining so far. I love his like slam dunk that spikes.
I hate it.
It's
You
so
can literally
OP.
dunk on kids,
It's
dude.
so
So
OP.
I was
Killed
gonna,
me so
I was
many
gonna
times.
ask that. Is it the fact that it could be any WB property and it's not like stuck to like WB's original cartoons or WB's like superhero side of things? The fact that it could be like anyone, like I think in some of the leaked lists, they're like, we are getting both Harry Potter and Ted Lasso
Yeah.
in this game. Do you think at some point that's gonna make it too much for you, or do you think that's actually a benefit
No,
for it?
I actually I
benefit for
I
sure.
think that's absolutely in the game's favor. I mean, yeah, like Ted Lasso, the Wicked Witch of the West, Gandalf and Legolas, like there's tons and tons of characters that you
Emmett
can
from
do
the
Oh,
Lego
to the
movie
to where
is a lead
to,
character.
to
Yeah.
where I mean it's like you got to think. I mean, Smash Brothers is the same way a lot. To where I mean, it's like yeah, you can be like Mario and Luigi or Link and Zelda or Pichu and Jigglypuff, like
Yeah.
But those are
or
like Nintendo.
Piranha
feel like-
Plant
I feel like part
or
of
whatever.
why
Like
this game shines for me at least is because like I mentioned earlier, the whole Tom and Jerry, like the sound effects when they die, like some of the funniest sounds known to man, you can just have those played when you kill someone. But it's the little things
yeah,
of they got
mine
like
is
Maisie Williams and
14
Kevin
big.
Conroy to come back and do
Yeah.
voices. And you have Kevin Conroy telling Shaggy, voiced by Matthew Lillard, Shaggy, you don't know what kind of power you're dealing with. And then Shaggy being like, yeah, whatever, Batman. Like you have Arya Stark saying,
Yeah.
I'm going to call you Bruised Wayne. Like, it's not just
Yeah.
these characters are there. It's these are the characters. Like, they care about these properties.
Tara Strong's Harley Quinn has a fantastic line though, where she's like, "Don't judge a book by its cover." I went to med school, like there are so many little lines that just make me laugh.
Mhm.
Like it's
Gotcha.
Well,
it's
then-
so good. Plus, you can also change there's an announcer in the game, much like Smash Brothers, but
Mhm.
you can also buy the characters' voices as announcers. So like I have Arya Stark and Batman and Harley Quinn as like my announcers because I got a bunch of like the Gleamium or whatever the fuck they
Mhm.
call it for
Mhm.
getting the Founders Pack, right? And so yeah, you get like Tara Strong or Kevin Conroy like starting off your matches and stuff, and that's so cool.
It feels
I
like
love
at
that.
some point when they add enough of like just all this IP that's under the Warner Brothers umbrella, it's gonna come off like the Ultimate Showdown of Ultimate Destiny.
It feels like
Yeah.
that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does
but-
kind of feel like that, but I think it would feel cheap if the gameplay sucked, but it's
Gotcha.
fun to
Yes.
play.
And I
Interesting.
will say this is something that I think mentioning Chris's Discord. It's like it's a very approachable fighting game, but it has the depth that I think a lot of competitive
Mhm.
players are looking for. 'Cause
Yeah,
I'm not a competitive fighter, but I'm having a blast with this game every time I boot it up.
it manages to be a game that is a little more competitively focused than Smash Brothers is. Smash Brothers, I mean, the
Mhm.
creator of Smash Sakurai is always like, "Hey, this is a party game," and
I
they
miss when
definitely
Smash was just a party game.
he definitely eased up a bit on it in the last one to where he's like, "Okay, here's some advanced mechanics, you nerds."
Mhm.
But Multiverse is out the gate. They were like, this competitive fighter. Like you can play this like a competitive game and enjoy it. Or play it like a party game. If you just want to be Superman and Batman beating up people, you can do that too.
Will it be an Evo?
Yeah. In
I
fact,
was
it has
just thinking about that.
in fact, it has the largest prize pool of any Evo ever. It's like 100K or something.
Nice.
Yeah.
I
Just
see that.
imagine Iron Giant smashing the shit out of Shaggy at Evo next year. And
yeah,
that makes me
absolutely.
happy.
This year.
What
Like,
Oh,
in
yeah,
like,
yeah.
in like 2
property?
weeks.
I'm making predictions. Bugs Bunny and Finn are about to be the go-to
top two.
picks.
Okay.
Finn's hilariously broken and
Yeah.
will absolutely be on every single team. Because he's got just ridiculous priority over everything. So there's definitely some balance issues, but I think one of the biggest things that make this game what it is that it's free to play. That's so
Yeah.
huge. It's one of the first like fighting games to try like the free to play market, and I think having more things approachable within the fighting genre is only good for the health of that scene. I can't think of another video game genre that would only benefit from being free to play and just kind of having like cosmetics be
Mhm.
what you pay for or whatever, because the gameplay is all already there, like
Mhm.
and just yeah, there's so much to say about this game that we just don't have time for. Maybe maybe we'll do something else on content about this, but this is a good ass video game, and it's shocking to me that a game where you can fight Gandalf as Bugs Bunny is good, but you can, and
Now,
it is.
what's the property you want to see them add in the
Ted
most?
Lasso. I'm so excited to see Ted
Really?
Lasso in that game
Because
because I
I'm
just want to know how he
I'm
works. I
curious.
want to know how
Exactly,
they do
yeah.
it.
see.
The
I'm
lines
really
are gonna be
I
hoping.
need to
awesome.
know how it's done.
He's
I'm
gonna
really-
spit tea as an attack.
I
Like,
hope
that's gotta
so.
be a
probably.
thing.
He better.
Oh my
He better.
I'm really hoping
And
that
it better
like
be Jason Sudeikis too.
Oh, it
all
has to
6
be.
friends
Oh,
show
there
up
is,
the way
yeah.
all the Bowser children are in Smash. We just get all 6 friends.
Funny.
Incredible, dude. Yeah, absolutely.
great.
100%. I can't wait to and I mean this is also it's the first time I've heard somebody talk about like the fucking Tom and Jerry meta. You know what I mean? Like,
Those
know the
are
meme that's
words.
like-
amazing.
You know
Said
the
in a
meme that's like,
sentence.
"Oh no, Squidward got the janky ass hitbox."
Absolutely, dude. Yeah,
Like,
100%,
oh
man.
no,
Hmm.
Tom and Jerry got the janky ass hitbox.
Jake the dog does have janky ass hitboxes,
Yeah,
dog.
oh
It's
my
fucking
gosh.
unreal. It's incredible what an achievement this video game is, and I mean the people that run it are like fighting game seasoned veterans too. Like they came in
They
and knew
give a shit.
exactly what this game needed to be. They're like, yeah, it's this fun dumb party game, but they're like, if we want this game to be good, it's got to be good on all fronts. And so they're like cross play, cross platform, rollback net code,
Cross progression.
like free to play cross progression. Like they understand what this game needs to be and are very dedicated to making it the best it can be, despite the fact that it's fucking Bugs Bunny versus Ultra Instinct Shaggy. Like that's hilarious.
And that's actually it
like-
is Ultra Instinct Shaggy, not just Shaggy.
Yeah,
Yeah, they played into
he
the
literally
meme.
goes Super Saiyan. Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's the most ridiculous game.
Play this
Yep.
game. It's free. You have nothing to lose.
My spouse is out of town for a week, so I know what I'm doing as soon as I have some free time.
I'm playing
yeah,
as
dude.
soon as we wrap up here.
I've got shit I got to do once we're done, but we'll play for sure because it's so good. Yeah, especially like as
Streaming it
somebody
this
that is
week.
a huge fan of the fighting game genre. It's a lot of fun. Like that's really what it comes down to. And yeah, you can just go in there and vibe with your friends if you want, or you can sit down and be like, I'm going to learn how to play Harley Quinn or whatever, and do that. I was doing that last night, watching a bunch of like combo videos for Superman and stuff. Like it's a really, really good game. Also, we get the Justice League version, the animated Justice League version of Superman, which is the best Superman. So thank you
Yeah.
for making Superman a nice person in this game. I really appreciated that. It's the same guy that voices him in the old animated show too, and it's so nice to see kind Superman again. Fuck.
Yeah.
Damn.
right.
So yeah, it makes me want to play him just because of that.
Yep. It's gonna be a tough act to follow, but so my game of the year. It is a sequel to a game that came out in 2013. That game, the original one, single-handedly got me into the indie game genre.
My name is Mayo.
Oh
Yes.
god.
So this game, it was a PS Plus game, but the original one, and it's Rogue Legacy. So mine's Rogue Legacy 2, but Rogue Legacy single-handedly got me into indie games. Like, cause I had never really gotten, because I had gotten a PS3. I might have even bought it on a PS3 because it was on sale for like dirt cheap or something. But I just remember playing that game, and I just sunk hours into this game because
Favorite
just
Vita
that.
game. It was so good on the Vita.
Yeah, I never played on the Vita. It was only a actual console for me. But the sequel it just elevates that formula so well. Like there's just the same classes you know and love are there. There's better classes there. The environments. There's so many more bosses. It's not just like the 4 environments from the first game, but yeah, start in like the main castle, and you have. I've only I haven't beaten this game, but I've put about 40 hours into it, and I am just loving every second because I took a bit of a break from this game, but I actually listened to the review from Bush League Gaming, and that kind of reinvigorated me to get back into it. And there's just so much that I didn't know about the game yet, because this game is so deep with all the mechanics. Whereas like there is the weapons that you can get, the different classes emphasize the weapons, but you can also unlock artifact weapons that your character can just start with, and they're just crazy OP. Like I had this scythe where it's like you just can spam the attack and you can just glide across the entire room and not even touch the ground once.
That's cool.
And then the different traits. I guess, okay, so if you've never heard of Rogue Legacy before, it's basically a rogue-lite game where you go through as far as you can, try to beat all the bosses in one run. But when you die, it's your heir that spawns, and they have different traits. So, like, one of the traits is, like, you can only see in black and white.
One of my favorites was dyslexia. Like, all of the text is backwards. Or you're
That's so
left-handed.
fucking funny.
You just
And
hold the weapon in your opposite hand.
Yeah, and there's actually a trait in this game, pacifist, where you just hold a peace sign, like a wooden stake sign that has peace on it, and you can't do any damage to the enemies, but you can get an insane amount of gold to help build up your castle and get your buffs and all that. And I would say this game, it's on PC and Xbox right now, and if you love the first one, you'll love this, because it was in early access for quite some time. Just came out this year, and it is polished all to hell. And the art style is amazing, because I actually learned this by just happened to being on TikTok or Twitter. It's all 2D game, but they 3D animated the enemies and the characters, so that way they actually have a depth to them. So it was just a really cool game.
Deal. I like that.
Yeah.
What are you playing it on?
PC. So I got it on Steam. And
When I put out a tweet when I got my Steam Deck where I was like, "Hey, what game should I play on the deck?" I was like, "People that have it already, like, what should I play?" And far and away, the most common like recommended game was like to check out Rogue Legacy 2. Like it's great for the platform. It's a good game. And so yeah, I've definitely got that. Maybe I'll just.
Well, it's an easy game to just put 30 minutes into, and just do a run or two.
Maybe I'm in the middle of multiverse right now. You know what I mean?
But yeah, this game, it's like it's one of those examples of where they just took the formula from the first game and just elevated it to an insane degree. And there's just so many different classes, and you upgrade it. I'd be surprised if this. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this drops down, but like I am just in love with this game. I can't wait to beat this game and just see the different environments, because the thing I really like about this game that they didn't do with the first one is that they have like stars when you enter a new area to let you know how difficult it is. And there are some areas where I jump into it and it's like almost filled up, and I'm like, okay, nope, drop back down, go back to the last area, because I am like not anywhere near, like I don't think I'm in like the third or the fourth area right now. But there's a mechanic where you can, because for the most part you have to go through the first area to get through to the other areas, but there's a mechanic a bit further on where you can actually unlock these portals to just teleport. So right from the main room you can just go straight to the other areas without having to go through and potentially just die way before you get to those areas that you're looking to grind through. So
like legitimate actual shortcuts, like physical portals.
Yes.
That's awesome.
That was one of my main qualms about the original game, is like you would get 3 dungeons in, and then you had to fight through like those areas or like a little bit of those areas to get to the one that you're trying to go to, and more oftentimes than not I would die. So that's actually like a really big selling point for me. That's really cool.
Yeah.
They added that.
Because the thing that I messed up though is I should have got the portal like right next to where you unlock that ability. I didn't. So instead I went further past, so I had to go back through the first like couple areas again to get back to that area. But earlier today I did finally unlock that, so I could finally start grinding from where I'd actually need to grind from.
Nice.
Yeah.
But there's two different methods. You can grind to actually get further progression through the actual game, or like through the levels, or you can just grind for gold. Which the really cool thing is at the beginning when you're because you get 3 different airs to choose from every time, and at the bottom it'll actually give you a percentage of like how much additional gold will you get. So like the pacifist is by far the trait that if you want to grind for gold, you can. Because that is like 120% bonus gold. Like it is just an insane amount. Because I mean, but granted, that makes sense because you can't damage enemies. But what's really cool is you can pick up weapons throughout the game. So if you have a pacifist and you find a weapon, you can do damage.
Oh,
Because you don't start
that's
off with a weapon,
awesome.
but if you find a weapon, you can do damage.
You
You
might have
decided not
just
to
sold
be
a
a
copy for
pacifist.
this game. I loved the hell out of the first one, and I
Oh.
kind of was going to sleep on the second because I was like, if
No,
it's just more of the
please
first.
do not.
then
If you love the first
okay.
one, do not sleep on this. It is
Yeah, these improvements
just
sound
as good, if
fantastic.
not better. So,
Awesome.
all right. Any closing thoughts?
Closing arguments. Yes, Your Honor.
I feel like I should just, if the FBI is watching or whatever, I know that technically the game that I've put the most time into this year is League of Legends Wild Rift. I just needed to say that. I don't want to
game.
talk about
It's
it.
a really good
You didn't
game.
want to
It's
be
a really-
exposed.
I don't want to be exposed. Like I hit Emerald 2 in that game, and then like the season reset, and I'm like, okay, well now that I've invested all of this time, I have to get to Emerald 1 this season. So I'm
Them's the
addicted to
rules,
that
you
game.
know?
Anytime I'm not at my PC, I'm playing Wild Rift. Like if I'm in bed, I am playing Wild Rift. If I'm like, oh, this is gonna be I'm gonna drop every log in my. I'm gonna lose 10 pounds on this toilet right now. I'm bringing Wild Rift. Like,
All right. Well, on that note, we're going to get out of this long podcast, and I'm going to go to bed. They're going to play some multiverses, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.